and gentlemen, this is PJ Kavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
How you doing, GT? Episode 8, State Wars Hockey Podcast, Glass Half Full Productions. How you doing today, bud?
Yeah, we're back, baby. Thursday afternoon. Little gloomy day here in New York, but we'll make do and have a great pod today. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, these pods are flying by. It's becoming like a normal routine for us. It's going to be weird when we get back into hockey season and, we're not doing a podcast as often. I almost feel like this might be our future here. Maybe screw the hockey and we'll just talk on podcasts for the rest of our lives. A lot easier on the body.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously hockey's our livelihood and we love it and love doing the traveling and stuff like that, but we definitely have to slip in some podcasts during the year for sure. Loving it.
Yeah, I think, maybe eventually we get to one podcast a week and maybe eventually we start, instead of just talking about everyone's history as individuals, maybe we start having some guests on and we just start talking about topics, like we had a great topic the other day about the pro division and rule changes and just things like that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of these podcasts is this first 10 minutes we usually have where we could just chit chat back and forth. I think a lot of people don't realize that, me and Greg normally are in the same office, 5 feet from each other, or maybe 6 feet social distance. And
Tim breathing all over my neck.
I got a big screen between us, so he can't even see me normally. It's kind of like the Howard Stern show. He's like in a whole different booth, like Robin. But with this going on, he hasn't been here. So the only way we get to communicate or see each other is through Zoom and these podcasts. So always look forward to Tuesdays and Thursdays to see my boy GT.
Yeah. We obviously catch up on group chats and we've had some good Zooms with the Sniper guys. So that's been good too. But loving the podcast, Tim. What's going on there today? What's going on at the McManus household?
It's just another day in paradise, like you said, it's rainy out. So as I mentioned in past podcasts, when it rains out, it's kind of more miserable here because the kids are all in the house driving each other crazy. So fighting like cats and dogs. So definitely look forward to the better weather coming so we get outside and do stuff. Speaking of cats and dogs, a topic I want to bring up today, I want to get your thoughts and our listeners at home, especially. I've had a lot of friends recently talking about getting a pet during this lockdown. And, the kids are home bored or crying they want a pet. I know my kids have been crying for a dog for years. And luckily, it's the one thing my wife and I agree on. We're not really pet people. So we've kept away from getting the dog to the chagrin of my kids. But, a lot of people talk about getting pets during this quarantine. And I strongly advise against it. I feel like, people are getting something now because of the next, weeks or month or whatever of this going on because the kids are home and crying. They want a pet and they're bored and they love it so much. And they're going to walk it and clean it and bathe it and do all the good things and feed it. But as well as I do that once this quarantine's over, everyone's off for the races. And I know in my house for sure, every day after school, who's going to religion, who's going to soccer practice, who's got basketball, who's got lacrosse, who's going here, who's going to gymnastics. No one's ever home. And guess who's going to be cleaning up after that dog or walking that dog or feeding that dog is this guy. And I ain't having it. So just a suggestion to all you dads out there that are trying to get weaseled into this pet buying thing during the quarantine. I think you got to really think about it.
Yeah.
Realize that, it sounds good right now, but, it's kind of like certain tattoo someone might get, They always say the most popular tattoo in the world, you make millions of dollars if you can figure out a tattoo that'll last for like 5 years and then it disappears and then, you're over it. I think with a dog, it's kind of like leasing a car. If you get a dog for the quarantine and then give it back, but of course then the kids will be crying, that would be the way to go. But I strongly suggest against it, knowing that, kids are all talk when it comes to taking care of stuff. And I know you don't have kids yet, but what are your thoughts on that, Greg?
Yeah, I know. I mean, my mom just got a dog almost a year ago now, I guess. And he's the greatest dog in the world, but he's a big boy. He was supposed to be a miniature and he ended up being a big boy because both his parents were smaller. But he's a big boy and my mom has her work cut out for her. But, during this time, it's awesome because I'll take him out for a skate or a walk but I can give them right back, which is the best thing about it,
Like being an
So,
uncle.
yeah, exactly, right? So, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's I know how your kids are. I know they want a dog really bad. They're always begging for it, and I have a feeling if you guys did get one, me and you would be taking it out for walks and cleaning up a lot of poop. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to double Greg's pay just for dog care.
Yeah, right.
For your mom, it's a different situation. Obviously, she's home by herself
Yep.
and, company and something to do, whatnot. It's more the kids of, their lives are so busy. And then as they get older, they want to go out with their friends. And, I've had friends over the years where we'll be at the beach, and then suddenly, oh, we got to go. We got to get the dog out. Or, you want to go out to dinner after something. Oh, I can't. I got to go home and take care of the dog. Or, hey, we're going on a trip for the weekend. You want to come? We're going to this tournament. I got no one to watch the dog or whatnot. So it definitely becomes a burden. And, for something that's great, that's what you want.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of work, and definitely think it through. Certain things sound good right now. And, once it wears off, you just wonder, how much they'll really be doing stuff. But on the flip side of that, you think about the animals, they got to be loving this quarantine more than anyone. Think about who's getting more
Yeah.
attention and love than a dog or a cat or somebody at home, a hamster, whatever you got, a bird that's normally no one's around. They're probably like, they may be getting annoyed going like, what the frick, can these people go home? Like, can these kids stop with these TikToks they're doing, all this new stupid stuff? Like, just get out of here. Leave me some space.
Yeah, they're probably getting sick and tired of it as well. Shout out to our boy RM, big dog lover. He's with his dogs 24/7 right now, and he's probably loving it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
How many does he have now?
RM?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
2 or 3.
He's got to have. I know he's having the issue with the one right now. But yeah, he's got to have a couple, right?
Yeah. Hopefully he's watching. Shout out
Yeah.
to RM.
Shout out to RM. Lynchy's one of the guys I was talking about with him. We had a dog conversation. Speaking of dogs, it's one thing we didn't bring up with Joe Cook that day. I think a lot of people don't know about Joe Cook. I think he's got about 52 dogs in his house. So talk about a dog lover. So, and he's another one. He's never home. So I don't know who takes care of all these dogs. I bet one of the older dogs takes care of all the younger dogs at this point.
Imagine the dog food bill at that house.
Oof. You can start seeing Alkali making some dog food.
Yeah, it's like Lion King, Tiger King, right? The amount of money they put into their food for the lions.
Yeah, remember that where they take all the old meat and stuff from
Tigers,
supermarkets and whatnot, and then the guys working were eating it. It's you watching anything new on Netflix?
I actually wanted to bring that up to you. Nothing really too good, to be honest, but I did finish Homeland. Did you end up finishing that?
Yeah, I finished that the night it was on, the finale. Great show.
Man. I'm gonna miss it. I love that show. Carrie, she was great in it at the end, and yeah. So I won't spoil, the ending, but
yeah,
I thought it was awesome. I don't know. They kind of closed it out, so there could be maybe an add-on season at some point. Maybe I don't know.
Right.
I'll leave it at that, just in case our listeners.
It's funny. My brother's a good judge of it because my brother always complains about every show how it ends, and it's so hard to end the show. No one's ever happy. Whether it's The Sopranos, people complain. Breaking Bad, people will complain. Dexter, people will complain. Lost. All these shows, no one's ever happy. Yep. But my brother was like, "Yeah, it was pretty good." So once he says that, I'm like, it was a pretty good finale. My brother gave it the thumbs up because he's pretty picky.
Yeah, right. And I know your uncle's big into the films, right?
Yeah, he's a cameraman, so he does. He works on motion pictures. Obviously, not working right now, but he's done over the years some big ones like Goodfellas. He did. Mm-hmm. He did. I think he might have done some stuff in The Irishman that just came out. He's done a bunch of stuff over the years. Worked with a ton of actors. It's always fun hearing about who's a douchebag and who's not from him and stuff like that. I know he loved Brad Pitt. He loved George Clooney. He worked with those guys a bunch. He told us a story one time, George Clooney jumped in the limo with him and a bunch of camera guys, and he had to go to another set, which was like an hour and a half away. And he just told stories and joked around with them the whole time. Cool. Brad Pitt bought them all beautiful watches one time on the set.
Yes. Speaking of Brad Pitt, it's funny. I was watching like Fixer Upper on TV. I don't know which one it was. It was with the twins, the brothers or whatever.
Okay.
And Brad Pitt was featured in the show, and he helped them fix up his good friend's house.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool to see, obviously you hear good things about him, but, from the show, it was just really cool to see him do that for a friend. So that was awesome.
Yeah, no, he seems like he's a pretty cool guy. Love to get him out of State Wars one day.
Yeah.
Sure, he's got some stories.
Yeah, right.
But all right, without further ado, we're going to bring our first guest on here. He's a phenomenal player out of Michigan, Tyler Spezia, 93 birth year, been part of State Wars since the beginning. And, we'll talk more about his specifics once he gets on here. So let's bring Ty on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
We're back here, State Wars Hockey Podcast. We got Tyler Spezia. How's it going, Tyler?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see you.
It's weird. I can only see a face right now. You're kind of blending in with that camo on.
Oh, really, Greg? Wow. You're off to a hot start.
So where are you right now? You back home in Michigan right now?
Yeah, I'm just in the Detroit area. Have an apartment in St. Clair Shores with my girlfriend. We've been in here for 50 days straight, so it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is where you'll really decide if she's the one or not after this. If you can last through this, then you know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Awesome. So what have you guys been doing? You guys been working out at all, skating?
Yeah, this gentleman that I met actually, he's a roller hockey guy. I don't know if you guys know him. Detroit local guy, plays he played in the men's leagues in Dumars. Gave me a bunch of workout equipment, so I've been able to work out and kind of train a little bit inside, which has been huge. It's been tough. It's been weird. Our season still isn't canceled, and we have no idea what's going to happen. It doesn't sound like we're going to play. It sounds like it'll just be the NHL, but so just you got to at least stay in shape and try. And it's just been a little weird the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's tough for everybody. The unknown is what makes it difficult. Yeah. So let's talk, Tyler. Let's dive right in a little bit about, your upbringing, growing up in Michigan. Obviously, it's a hockey hotbed. I know your older brother, Chad, played hockey. Is that what kind of got you started? Your big brother kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I found myself at Joe Dumars Fieldhouse every weekend watching my brother play when I was a kid. And then it only seemed fitting that I would try. And I loved every second of growing up in that field house as much as, you guys remember it all from the tournaments and all the great people associated with that place. So just a huge chunk of my childhood was spent there. And I think I really fell in love with the game of hockey there.
So you started with roller hockey first, before ice? Yeah,
I didn't hop on the ice until I was 11 years old, actually. So I was roller hockey from 4 to, still play, but
right.
Started playing the first 7 years of my life was straight roller hockey only.
Now, you obviously, people at home that don't know Tyler, he's without a doubt one of the most beautiful skaters I've ever seen play the game. Just a natural, perfect stride, whatnot. Was that just something that came natural to you right away, skating?
Honestly, yeah. I think it's just having the skates on so much. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that. I never once took a skating coach or anything. It was all natural. So I guess just thank my parents.
Yeah. It's funny because people, they take all these skating lessons, and I always say, you could skate with a skating instructor 100 times a week. It's still not going to be Pavel Bure. Certain things are just natural, and watching you skate, you can just tell it's just that natural jump, right, Greg? Would you agree?
Yeah, obviously I still haven't learned how to skate, but at least not like Tyler. But yeah, it's a natural motion, I guess, and it comes natural to a lot of people. So yeah, you're really fortunate to have that skating skill.
I know, and it's turning into a skater's game too. So I'm very, very thankful.
That's for sure.
100%.
Now I know, like, you guys, Chad started playing roller hockey really young and stuff. Did he start at like an outdoor rink? I remember seeing a video with him like a long time ago. I think Darren posted something, and he was at an outdoor rink. Or something.
There was I think it was either in Novi or I think Novi. They had an outdoor rink where that's like where all the big youth tournaments were. So they would spend a weekend playing outdoors, and then from there it moved into Breakaway, it was called. And we spent a lot of time out on the west side of the Detroit area in the beginning with a lot of those rinks, and then it kind of turned into a big thing locally at Joe Dumars Fieldhouse.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's Tyler, jumping into State Wars right off the bat, in 2005 was our first year back in Illinois. And you had played that year up with the 92s. And I know from discussions we've had with Cody Kettler, that year you guys it's funny. You guys always had battles. The 92s did, at least, with Missouri was a big birth year. And that year in the quarterfinals, they beat you guys 3-2 in overtime. Your buddy Kyle Novak scored the game winner. But I guess, back then we didn't video the games like today. I guess there's some controversy. You've been saying for years that you scored the winner in that game in overtime.
Yeah, there was actually a goal. I forget his name, the ref. He never wore a helmet, ponytail. He was reffing.
Okay.
And he missed one, I think. I remember it clear as day. Went through BJ Fisher's glove and just fell behind him in the net. And I think it might have been Cody that quickly stuffed it back under the goalie, and the ref never saw it. And then, they went on to win. That was tough pill to swallow, my first State Wars.
Now, does Cody or Kyle admit that you put that in, or of course they deny it, or where are they at with this?
Every time I bring it up, they always resort to Kyle Novak. Actually, it was such a long game, and someone had puked on the floor, and Kyle actually skated through it and fell in it. So whenever I bring it up, that's where the conversation always goes.
That's awesome. That's pretty funny. And you're 93 playing up, so that's pretty impressive. I know Tim said your stats were pretty good that year as well. Tim, you have those stats handy?
Yeah, I mean, that first year, so in 2005 playing up, Tyler, let's see, right, I had it right here. Tyler scored 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 4 games in the round robin that year. So pretty impressive playing up a year. But then the next year, 2006, we got a good picture of you here as a 93 playing. And it's funny because when I look at pictures, what people might not know is when we do photos today at State Wars, there's a reason why we have numbers on the front of the jersey and the back, because when we look at pictures, it's so hard to tell who's in a picture unless we see their number. And most pictures are the front of a player. So I spent hours going through photos, finally trying to find a last name on a jersey to say, okay, that's the kid. He's wearing green gloves, a white helmet. Okay, find back a picture now of him with a green glove, and I know who's who. But the other day when I was going through Michigan pictures to find a good one of Tyler, just scrolling through them, I knew it was Tyler immediately just seeing the stride. You see that picture just as skating? And, I knew who Mitch Stewart was right away because he wasn't skating like that. And I knew who Tyler was right away. But it's funny how Tyler is skating immediately right there just stuck out to me in the first picture I saw. And that's a great shot of that.
Yeah, that is a great photo. I think my mom has that actually on one of the State Wars plaques.
Yeah.
Same photo, yeah.
You're a cute little kid. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know. I lost the blonde hair, started losing my hair. The hairline started going back. And
we're going to talk a little crazy about that year. I'm going to test your memory banks a little bit. So that year, you guys went 2-1-1 in the round robin. You had a 7-7 tie that year in a crazy game with a very talented team. Any clue who you played that 7-7 game with that year?
Oh, was it Texas?
Yep, Texas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They were always, Kason Holman was a really good roller hockey player growing up.
Yep.
And yeah, his team always brought it.
And Stefan Noesen was on that team as well with him, who's played in the NHL. So
yeah, there's some good players. Colin Jacobs, was he on that team as well? He might have been.
I don't remember.
Big ice hockey name. But yeah, they were good. They had that full throttle team that was, good for such a long time. And then State Wars was cool because what I really enjoyed about State Wars was the fact that you got to play with so many different people. And, it wasn't my Border Cat team playing. It was a bunch of different guys from DMS to, wherever it was. And that's something I really enjoyed. I met a lot of different people throughout the years playing State Wars.
Yeah, I'm sure they hated playing against you locally, and then they finally got to play with you. So that's
just the standard hate playing against the guy, but he's not that bad once you get to know him. Yeah, standard. Yeah. It's like you, Greg.
Yep, exactly.
Well, when you look at the growth of the sport, that's kind of where you need to be, because if you think about it, and our next guest after you is Rob Ferrara, who I don't know if you were on that team with him that one year with the Blast, where he grabbed Rocco Grimaldi and he had Suture and he had Kaysen, and were you on that team too?
Yeah, I was actually. And I was just kind of figuring out what kind of player I was really. I wasn't really a big name on that team. I was kind of just a hardworking kid who was fortunate enough to get on that team and win. The 93 birth year in Michigan wasn't the best growing up, which is why I had to play up. And so I was forced to, look elsewhere to play. And I played with Rob and learned a lot. And I actually got to play up with the 92s at some tournaments and got to know all those guys. And it's kind of just been a everlasting bond since those times.
And that's, in our opinion, kind of the reason why we've grown so much is because you take that 93 birth year, at State Wars, Kaysen's got to play with, Texas, or Rocco would have to play with California. You have to play with Michigan. Suture has to play with Missouri. So they're growing within, and that's kind of why we've seen that growth on State Wars. Why we have 300 plus teams today is because you have to grow from home if you want to play, and it's kind of good for the sport to have to grow the local teams.
100%. And I didn't win State Wars till my last year of playing, and we finally got over the hump. I think there was a year where I even had to play AA just because our team wasn't the best. But that win
won AA, I think. Oh, I think you got a bronze medal in AA.
And then we won AAA over Alberta. And
we got all this stat, so I want to get back real quick. So in 06, so you tied Texas 7-7, you went to the playoffs, and then you guys wound up losing to Texas again in overtime in the playoffs, 5-4. Kaysen had the game-winning goal, but you and Kaysen both traded hat tricks in that game. So you could tell early on that Tyler was a pretty good goal scorer.
Yeah, those times were fun, man. Just going to those tournaments, and it wasn't like it is now. My mom drove me, hotel and all that. It was way more of a commitment than it is, coming in for a weekend here or there. Now, as a kid, it was awesome. It was so much more than just hockey. It was pins and playing around the rink and playing mini six in the hotel and stuff. And to win that State Wars, though, that was huge for me.
Yeah, because in 2009, your 93 team, to your point you said earlier, so it started out AAA, AA, but then you guys split into the AA. You didn't qualify for AAA, and you wound up winning that. Our buddy Mitch Stewart scored the game winner in overtime in Cincinnati. And then in 2011, which is what that picture is from, and we have a couple of 2011, your last year in 93s, after struggling, you guys finally won AAA gold. You went 2-1-1 in the round robin. But then you beat New York 3-2 in the playoffs, 5-3 over Alberta, 3-2 over your nemesis Missouri, that was in the round robin. And you tied Illinois 6-6, and then in the playoffs you beat Illinois 4-3. You beat Colorado 3-2 in overtime, another overtime winner by Stewart from you on a pass, and then you beat Alberta 3-0 in the final. So that had to feel pretty good to finally win your last chance, the 93 birth year. It
was awesome. We had a good group there. A couple guys who never really played competitive roller were on that team. Guys like Mark Albo and certain guys who probably would have never had a chance to win that really if it wasn't for State Wars or feel a part of a team like that. And my brother actually coached us, and I think Evo helped out too. And it was good. Mitch Stewart actually had a heck of a tournament. He won MVP, and rightfully so. A guy scored every big goal we needed. And him and I played D together and played a lot of minutes. So I'm sure Mitch was tired, but he battled.
It's funny about Mitch, and we pick on Mitch religiously because he works with us.
Yeah.
But obviously not the flashiest guy, not your typical guy. But you take the brains part of it and just the game awareness out there. He's actually a pretty good damn player.
Oh yeah, he was great for us in that tournament. He had provided some toughness, some flair. Him and my brother would get into it on the bench, as you probably could imagine. And no, he was big for us. I don't think we win that tournament without Mitch. And Chris Kirk in net was huge.
Yeah. I was going to bring up Kirk as well. Yeah, like he doesn't look like a very good goalie as well, but that kid could play.
Oh my gosh, he was a gamer. Like you said, he's wearing a player helmet out there.
Yeah.
It's easy to say like this guy probably not going to play, but he was huge in that last game. Actually, that year we beat Colorado in the playoffs, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, but Dwyer and I did not get along at all. And I remember it was in Cincinnati, and I was walking after the game, and he walked up to me and just like dropped his shoulder right into me in the lobby and kept walking. And I was like, who is this guy? So every time I see Dwyer, I usually bring that up, ask him if he's still mad at me or whatever that was. I don't know.
That's awesome.
We'll get him on here one time. We'll ask him.
You got to ask him about that. Not many people know about that. I was shocked.
You probably whacked him after the whistle or something.
Or I don't know what it was, but I ran my mouth back then. I wasn't really like, I didn't do anything, but I don't know. I wish I had an answer for what I did, but he obviously knows.
He probably didn't like you because you were good.
I don't know.
And Tyler also, Greg, he won the scholarship award that year. I know you got your Team America picture there, Team North America, excuse me. And there's Mitch with you there. You guys both won $1,000 college scholarships that year, given out to the best players in the 93 birth year. So that's just a great overall year for Tyler, 2011 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's funny because Ohio wound up being a place you wound up going to play ice hockey.
Yeah, Ohio's been home for many years. Not anymore, but for the last 6 years, that was home for me. And I enjoyed going to Cincinnati a lot, and winning that last one there was awesome.
That's awesome.
Now we'll fast forward past your youth, your youth divisions. You played some junior. You did really well there. You got to play with your brother, which was pretty cool. And is that your younger brother with you guys as well?
Yeah, he's a baseball guy.
Yeah, yeah. And he's probably a lot taller than that now.
Oh, he's like 6'3". I don't know how, but he is.
You got to play juniors with your brother, but then we move into 2015, the start of the Palmer Pro Division. And you're at, there's a picture with the Border Cats when we had our elite division before we turned into the pro division where you had to play for your state and you play with Michigan and the Border Cat guys.
Yeah, that was a great group. Something I kind of just like fell into. It was the only pro team at Joe Dumars, and obviously my brother played there, and those are all of his friends and guys he grew up playing with. And I'll never forget, it was like a normal holiday tournament and they needed a guy, and John Gelman, actually, it wasn't even Koleski, said, "Hey, you want to play with us?" And I played with him, and I did pretty well. And ever since that moment, I played in the elite and the pro since with the Border Cats. And we did get close one year. We lost in Darien to the meltdown in the final. It was a pretty good game. And we Border Cats, obviously you guys know, never quite get over that hump, and that was close for us. And but no, going through that with those guys kind of propelled me for the rest of my roller hockey pro career.
Yeah, so then eventually, where we know you now, you jump into the Alkali family with Coach Joe Cook and, a lot of those Missouri nemesis we talked about earlier, and Kettler and Novak and Krogman and all those guys from the 92s in Missouri. You jump in with those guys. Palmer Pro starts in 2015. Immediately it turns into the toughest pro division out there. Every game's tough, as you know. That first year, Alkali, just like we talked about with Travis the other day, you guys struggled big time that year. I think you might have lost to the Border Cats in that, which I know had to be frustrating for you. And you guys were 2-2, just like we were. We both made some upsets in the playoffs, squeaked into the playoffs, and then we met in the finals. And you guys had lost in the championship that year. But then since then, it's been a tough road for Alkali, only in the sense of just getting over that hump in the quarterfinals. It seems like been the trouble, and it seems like every year you guys have to match up with a really tough quarterfinal, and just shows to the strength of the tournament. In 2016, you lost in the quarterfinals to Black Ice 6-5. The next year in the quarterfinals to Black Ice 2-1. The next year in the quarterfinals to Palmer 4-3. And then a game which was, I think, the best game of the year last year against us, 4-3 in overtime. So obviously a lot of heartbreak there. I'll go on the record and say you were the team that scares me more than anyone out there. What's going to be the change? Like, what do you think, just to get over that hump of that one game? You win that one quarterfinal, you probably win half of those tournaments. So is it just bad luck of who you're matching up against, or what do you think has to happen there?
I think a lot of it, the division is so deep in there. I got a text from Dwyer. He said he remembers. That's funny. But that's, it's been tough getting the division is so deep. You get in the playoffs and it's going to be tough no matter what, whether you get Black Ice, you get Palma, you get these young kids like the Roadrunners now, you get the Snipers, the Border Cats, everyone's coming to play and everyone wants to win. I think our problem is our starts in the round robin. We're kind of, waiting around, and I couldn't tell you how many tournaments we've started off 0-2 or 0-1-1 or something, then have to battle back. And it's just a tough way to play. You can't rely on that you're going to start playing every year. I think, an honest opinion of mine would be what guys are doing this time of year, what guys are doing in the winter time. Like, for me, it's kind of always been in play that, I'm playing hockey. And I think some of our team, it took a little bit to get going because they're not doing much throughout the year. And they had like this approach that it's just another tournament and, we're going to show up, and it's not like that anymore at all. For a long time, some of these teams could show up and dominate, and it's not like that anymore with this young surge of talent and how deep the division is.
Yeah. And especially with you, Greg, we talked about it last year. I thought, and I know you agreed, that we thought Tyler was arguably the best player in the division last year in the Palmer Pro. I know in our game in the quarterfinals, you were probably the best player on the rink 90% of that game. And I think Greg's got a pretty good clip of you from that game. You got that, GT?
I do.
All right.
Kyle up the boards. Gives it right back to Burnett. Now they give it to Spezia. Flying as always down the right wing. Spezia in the circle. A shot. He scores! Tyler Spezia. Motoring down the right wing side. Takes a quick snapshot. It sails past the blocker of Redmond. 3-2 Alkali. They have their lead back with 16:53 left in the second.
Do you remember that goal, Tyler?
I do, yeah, I do. Redmond's always a guy who had, he doesn't give up much, and I tried to get a quick shot on goal and catch him by surprise, and it worked. It wasn't anything more than that. It wasn't like I saw something open. It was quick shot, see what happens.
I mean, Greg, you're a D man. I mean, when you see a guy like Tyler out there, and we've joked around a lot about how forwards aren't always the best defensively, so the pressure is going to be on our D man when a guy like Tyler gets the puck, and he's got that speed, and the rinks are huge. What's going through your mind as a defenseman, and how you can't stop him, but how do you contain him?
Just get lucky, to be honest with you. I mean, honestly, with his speed, it's really tough, especially to gap up on him, right? So it's just skating backwards, getting that stick out, and just trying not to get beat to the outside, or obviously inside with Tyler's speed. So, yeah, I mean, that shot right there. I don't know if you remember Chris Terry's shot for the winner in overtime.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it was identical, which is pretty funny. You guys just went like mid blocker, right?
Yeah, just something quick on that. You never know.
Yeah,
Chris wasn't moving nearly as fast, but
no.
He can at least shoot the puck.
Yeah, he can shoot. I see that all year this year too.
So Tyler, when you get the puck like that and you see guys backing up, do you just start licking your lips when you see guys backing up on you?
Sometimes, yeah, but I think sometimes I get top speed too fast, and like when you see a guy coming that fast, you can almost gauge it as a D-man. I think there's something that I've been trying to work on, not only in roller but in ice, is just switching up my speeds and kind of keeping the defender guessing whether I take a little bit longer to get the full speed or quick strides or something like that. Sometimes it's easy to defend, just keep me to the outside, and a lot of times I feel like I run out of room, which is why you see me around the net and throw it back, and just because the D isn't giving up anything. So there's definitely some things I would change, and I think just using my speed and adjusting speeds would help.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny because like a defenseman like Kabaya there, right? He's probably like, wow, like I'm doing a good job keeping Tyler out to the outside, and then you just kind of walked into a little bit to the middle and shot, I think, under his stick. So that's a really talented play by you. So
thanks, Greg.
I would say shoot more, but just not against the snipers.
Yeah, I mean, roller hockey, different game, obviously, and you miss the net, you lose the risk of not seeing the puck for a couple minutes too. So that's kind of it's going in my head too. If I don't have a really good look, maybe hold on to it and try again. But no, I mean, I always notice good defensemen. There's always those matchups that I don't look forward to. Guys like Kavaya, who's a great defender. Yeah. Certain players who I know are going to be hard on me. Just some of those matchups, and there's always usually a couple comments from Greg, slow down, or
right.
CJ Yoder's the same way, slow down.
Right. Well, I think you bring up a good point, and it sounds like a dumb comment to some people, but sometimes you could be trying, you could be skating too fast, and you bring up a good point about changing speeds and whatnot. If you're going the same speed the whole time, no matter how fast you are, players can then judge you and adapt to that and position themselves right, where that's what makes someone, I think, like an Nathan Sigmund difficult, where he's always so shifty, changing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard to, really read what's going on. I think you've gotten really good at that over the last couple of years of changing your speeds up. Look at some career stats, Greg, for Tyler. So in 114 games played at State Wars, he scored 101 goals, 53 assists for 154 points overall. And in the Palma Pro alone, in 30 games played, he has 22 goals, 5 assists for 27 points in the top pro division in the world. So almost a point a game, which is pretty impressive, and almost a goal a game, actually. You might have to get some more assists there, but we'll blame that on your teammates not burying pucks when you give it to them.
Yeah, seriously. Archie.
Blame it on Cats.
Cats, Archie, Bernie. Blame those guys.
So, obviously, besides Palma Pro, you've had the luxury of having the highest honor of playing for Team USA on 3 different occasions. In 2014 in the Czech Republic, you guys played. You won the bronze medal that year, beating Sweden in the semifinals after losing to Canada in the shootout game, which our buddy Chris Terrio will bring up all the time. He scored the winner in that one. Then in 2015 in Finland was a tough year for Team USA. You guys didn't medal. But then we had the pleasure of being together in 2017 in Slovakia, and it was an honor of me to have you on the team, getting to coach you for the first time. And it was winning the gold medal there, beating Finland 4-2 in the final. So I didn't even realize till last night that was your first time winning the gold at IHF. So that had to feel pretty good, huh?
Oh, that was great. And for it to be the last, double IHF tournament, and at least for now, it was huge. To go to that tournament, first of all, you guys all know how special it is and the opportunity and kind of what goes on there. And to not take advantage of that opportunity when you think you bring the best team every year is really tough. And, to get bronze the first year, and then the second time you go to I think we got fifth. It wasn't even close. And I think, you bring in a bunch of the youth and let them play together. It was like we almost had 3 teams together there playing, in 3 different lines, and it worked and it gelled, and we were able to, to win the gold, and that was huge. That felt great. That was a long time coming for sure.
I know a good story for me to tell everyone that year. So when we played the Czechs in the semifinal, one thing about IHF, the games are really long. You come out, you warm up, which seems like an hour-long warm-up. Then you go back to the locker room. You get to talk to the guys. Guys get to hydrate and do whatever they have to do. Then you go back out. You play 2 quarters. Then you go back to the locker room at halftime to come back out for the third and fourth quarter. I think each quarter was 12 minutes long. And we went back to the locker room at halftime there, and we were down 3-1 at halftime. And guys' heads were down, Tyler, and I remember Joe and I putting our heads together about, all right, how are we going to get these guys pumped a little bit here, to get going again? Because the games are long, kind of like the Power Pro games. The games are long, so you have time to come back. And, we gave our talk, and, Travis Snow was captain, gave a little talk as well, and everyone seemed pumped coming out. And, the next goal is huge. Like the next goal, Greg, is you give up the next goal, you're probably going to lose that game. And Tyler's biggest goal, maybe of his roller hockey career, was that next goal, and it made it 3-2. And what made it so big for us was just you saw the momentum, because he did that, and I think Jumbo Jack Combs scored 30 seconds later to tie the game, and we wound up winning the game 6-5 to go on to the championship. But here's that goal by Tyler.
Yeah,
that's your buddy Travis Snow finding you there for a great shot.
Yeah, that was a big goal. Like you said, it was huge implications on that goal. Definitely felt good in a situation where I didn't feel like my numbers were the best that year in a tournament that I've had success in. But regardless, the team didn't run through me. We had so many guys and so many guys playing well that I was just happy to chip in wherever I could, and thankfully, it was for a goal to get us going. And then Combs and Whitey were lights out that entire tournament, and they started feeling it, and they scored, and then we won that one. And then I didn't think there was any doubt we were going to get past Finland in the gold medal game after that game.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember Joe and I, when we were going over line combinations, we're like, okay, and we felt this way last year with our team, is okay, like, all right, you're looking at Travis Snow and Tyler Spezia as our first line. Okay, match up with them, and then we're going to throw Combs and Whitey at you. And all right, you worry about Combs and Whitey, then we're going to throw Chavo and Pascali at you. Like, so we just had so many weapons, and you and Travis obviously played so well together. And even when you're not scoring, you guys are doing so many good things.
Yeah.
But big players score big goals, and that might have been, like I said, the biggest goal you've ever scored on wheels.
For sure it was, and it was awesome. Definitely, we'll never forget that one. Looking at how it turned out, with the gold medal, it amplifies that goal even more, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I remember your first year double IHF.
Yeah.
Was Czech Republic, correct?
Yep. Part of Butte.
Yeah, and you actually turned 21 that trip.
I did, yeah.
And we did have an off day during your 21st birthday, so that was a good time from what I remember. And all I can recall is looking up at the bar, and Tyler was dancing on the bar.
I was, yeah. I mean, no one told me I couldn't dance up there, so I thought I would, That was fun. That was a good group, a lot of personalities, a lot of guys like to have fun, and it was actually the night the tournament ended, so there was no more hockey to be played, so we could kind of let loose. And extremely tough flight home for me. Oh my gosh,
struggling.
Sat in the middle of the 7 in the middle, and I don't think I got up once. for the 8 hours.
That's brutal. Yeah, those were some good times. That's for sure.
For sure. Great time.
Let's talk about a little bit about your ice hockey career, Tyler. So, obviously, still playing professional ice hockey. You played in college at Bowling Green. I mentioned Ohio before that, that closest you have with Ohio. So you played from 2014 to 18 there at Bowling Green. You had 147 games played, 34 goals, 38 assists, 72 points. So almost a point every other game, half a point a game in college, Division I college hockey. Pretty impressive. And after that, you played a little bit with Toledo in the East Coast Hockey League. So you played a total of 79 games in the East Coast Hockey League, scoring 59 points. And then you've had a great chance of playing up in the American Hockey League with the Grand Rapid Griffins, who are the affiliate for the Detroit Red Wings, your hometown team, playing 30 games there and 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points. So how special has it been being able to play for, I'm assuming you're a Red Wings fan, to be able to play for the Griffins?
Yeah, huge Red Wings fan. Grew up watching. When I was a kid, they played in the Western Conference. So there would be times where I would stay up till 10 o'clock, watch the Red Wings play against the Sharks or the Kings or whoever it was. Grew up playing for Little Caesars, which is like, they kind of paired the two together, Little Caesars and the Red Wings. The owner of the Red Wings, Mike Ilitch, his grandson was on my team. So I had a firsthand look at the Red Wings, loved them, knew every player, even knew everything about the minor league, who was coming up, yada, yada. So to be in that position now, and it's kind of crazy. I just remember playing my first American League game, just kind of looking around, and I looked up, having the Red Wings logo on your jersey. It's just like, this is crazy. Like, you're so close. And for me, it's a little bit special just because it's my hometown team. And I've been a part of it. I've seen them, how good they be. And now I'm a prospect, I guess you could say. I'm in the organization trying to make it. So, yeah, I mean, playing there is awesome as well. A lot more family get to, my mom gets to come to the games, brother, family, a lot more relevant versus, being somewhere where they can't get to. It's only 2 hours away. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'll never take a day for granted playing in that organization.
I was looking at your Griffins roster, and obviously, Chris Terry brought him up, who's one of the leading scorers on that team. Plays at roller hockey at State Wars in the Palmer Pro Division. Troy Loggins, your teammate on the wheels, been part of State Wars. I want to get him on the show one day. He's been part since day one with the 95 California team. I've always called him like almost a younger version of you out there, the way he skates and whatnot. It reminds me of you so much. He's on that team. And there's another player, and I want to see if you know this. Do you know who else is on that team that has a lot of State Wars history playing roller hockey?
Yeah, I mean, he tells me every single day. Alec McRae?
No, wasn't him.
Oh, Chalowski.
Yes.
Yeah. Dennis, yeah, actually, ironically, he came up to me and told me he used to play. And I knew because of I would always see Darren or whoever post that he played. But yeah, he mentioned that he never said he would play again, but he said he played and he loved it. And it's
British Columbia. He's a 98, so he played with the British Columbia 98 team. So he's a youngster.
Did McRae ever play State Wars?
I don't know. I'd have to check him out. I know Chalowski because I saw, when he was a first round pick for the Red Wings, we saw that name. Oh, that name sounds familiar. And sure enough, so he was playing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, this year was fun because usually, there's not usually a group of roller guys on your team, and you start talking about roller hockey in an ice room for guys who don't understand it, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" So we could talk freely about roller, and all year, and it was fun.
Especially when you have a veteran like Chris Terry, he could say whatever he wants and do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Sure, so.
No one was telling him what he couldn't talk about. Nice guy of him though. He never once rubbed it in my face that he beat us in overtime. So I really appreciated that from him. Yeah,
I know he's got some good things to say about you as well. Right?
Yeah, he loves you.
Yeah, Terry's is awesome. We're gonna play golf here soon, and we got to know him. I always knew him, but I really got to know him in my first year in Worlds, and then playing with him in ice hockey really got closer and become better friends. And he's a great guy.
Pro.
For sure. Yeah. Great guy.
He told me to ask you about a story. So he said, I guess when you were called up to play with the Griffins the first time, I guess, I don't know if it was a last minute thing, but you and a teammate got called up, got there. All the guys are dressed in suits. You guys are in your track suits or whatever because you rushed up. But I don't know who the guy you were with, not important who he was, but he said to mention what kind of shoes he was wearing. He said it was pretty funny. So what do you got to say there?
he was wearing a pair of Crocs in the American League. You know, to our credit, I mean, it really wasn't our fault. We were in Fort Wayne, in a place that you guys know very well, actually. We were there, and after the game, from Toledo to Fort Wayne's an hour and a half. It wasn't like you're bringing anything on the road. You're literally putting on your tracksuit. You're getting on the bus. You're playing the game. You're going home. So after the game, got told, "Hey, you've been called up." So all I had was my tracksuit and a phone charger. One of my teammates randomly had a toothbrush in a bag that was like unused, so that was big. But yeah, my teammate had Crocs on, and Toledo, you know, sometimes on the bus it's pretty casual. You know, you can kind of wear whatever you want. At home, you wear suits, and we got called up, and yeah, he had Crocs on. We both showed up wearing Toledo Walleye tracksuits to the game, and it was for sure. It was funny, you know. I'll remember it. I took a picture with my family after the game wearing my Walleye tracksuit, and my other buddy had Crocs. And he's a wild guy. He's a North Carolina boy. I was gonna say hillbilly, but he's he likes to have fun, and he doesn't really care. Crocs are his favorite shoe, and that's just kind of who he is.
That's so funny.
I could see like Burns wearing that to a game, you know?
Yeah, it's similar. Like this guy's got a full-on beard and everything, just
Yeah.
like Burns, and yeah, tough
That's
guy.
awesome.
We're gonna ask you some questions, like a little speed round here, just to get to know you off the ice a little bit for our fans. So just whatever comes out, just spit it out here.
Perfect.
So music-wise, are you more of a country or hip hop kind of guy?
Of those two, I would say more country.
More country. Okay.
Yeah.
More Zach Brown band or more Florida Georgia Line? What's more your what kind of music?
I like Florida Georgia Line. I do like Chase Rice, and I do like Morgan Wallen's kind of been rising on the country scene.
Okay. Chick-fil-A or Chipotle?
Chick-fil-A, just because it's not really accessible for me, and when I get it, it's not
It's glorious.
often. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Michigan or Ohio?
Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan for sure.
Drinking water, cold water or room temperature?
I'm a room temp all day. I think the cold water, my teeth are all fake and sensitive, so it doesn't mix well.
Right. Beer or wine?
Beer. I do enjoy wine though, but beer.
Okay. Steak or chicken?
I think in season, I'm more of a steak guy. Out of season, chicken.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Favorite movie?
Shooter.
From all the players you've ever played with, who's the best locker room guy you've ever played with on the wheels?
Pat Lee. For
You have to
many
finish
reasons.
that.
When you look at the Palmer Pro Division right now and excluding your own teammates, who's a player you admire the most, how they play out there? You say, wow, that guy's just incredible. Who's that guy for you right now in the division?
I think it's a collection of. I'm a huge Matt White fan. I think the way that guy plays and his offensive ability is, and just playing with him, the 2 tournaments I got to play with him, just seeing it firsthand, of realizing how good this guy actually is. I don't think people quite understand how good of a hockey player Matt White is.
Now, from all the players you've ever played with, $1 million game, puck's on their stick for a penalty shot. Who do you want taking that shot besides yourself?
It's gonna kill me to say this, but I'm gonna go with Brandon Hawkins.
Oh, okay.
Kills me to say that.
His head just went like this, so just so you know.
I know, but I gotta, he can shoot the puck, and I think all the goalies are kind of know, or maybe they know he's gonna shoot, and they still can't stop it. So I'll go with Hawk.
Does he shoot that well on the ice as he do on the wheels, or what?
He does, yeah. It's actually scary, his shot sometimes. I wish he would use it more. You know, he gets into these, he tries to skate and dangle and score that way. But I think if he just found himself and he could play with a guy who could just feed him passes, he would just score so many goals because his shot's ridiculous. And he still puts up numbers, and he doesn't even play like that. It's crazy.
So I asked Joe Cook for one word when he thinks of you. His word was competitor or intense. Is that something that was taught to you? You think he's just naturally, from this time you first started playing, were you just that real intent, didn't want to lose even in a game of checkers against your brother? Was that getting beat up by your brother all those years? Like, what made you so intent to just wanting to win?
Yeah, I think it was growing up in my household was, you know, I wanted to do everything my brother did. I wanted to do it better. And then the way, you know, he was competitive, I'd always play with his friends and all that. But I think I have to be that way. I've kind of always been, as much as it doesn't seem like it in roller hockey, I've kind of always had to prove myself and ice every single level. So I have to be competitive. It's not like why am I? I have to be that way. And sometimes it gets the best of me. I am intense. I want to win, but it all comes from a good place.
And what's your message out there to parents that watch this stuff? We've had Chris Terry, Steve Oleksky, Pat Maroon, guys that have played in the NHL talking about this. Parents that think that, oh, my kid's got to play ice 24/7. If he gets on the wheels, he's not going to be able to play in the NHL. It's going to ruin his game, whatever. You've obviously started on the wheels, have played your whole life. What's your message to people that think that, hey, you can't do other things? How that changed your life?
I don't think I would be the player I am today in ice hockey without roller hockey. I know for a fact that I wouldn't be. It taught me so much. It taught me, I had to skate. It taught me how to, keep up with a guy at full speed for the full length of the rink. It taught me offense. It gave me confidence. It was always something we would spend the summer, playing roller and scoring a lot of goals. And I would have confidence entering my ice hockey season. It's been great. And I think it just also shaped the kind of person I am. Just growing up in a roller hockey rink, I'll always be a roller hockey kid playing ice hockey is kind of the way I describe it. But I think you can just see right now with the quarantine and the COVID-19, how many people are hopping on rollerblades. They constantly show how many of the ice hockey guys are stick handling and all that stuff. And if it wasn't good for you, they wouldn't be doing it. So I just would preach, don't sleep on roller hockey. It's honestly made me and a lot of other players who we are just as a kid playing.
Now, last question for you from me. What's your greatest State Wars memory that you can think of to date?
Well, I would hopefully Cody Keller's watching this. I toe dragged Cody Keller back-to-back years and scored, and I wish you guys had the film. I might have to ask Greg to find it, but not my best. My best would for sure be that 2011 win over Alberta. Just there's a couple of us on that team who gotten not really close, and it was our last go at it really, and we were able to get over the hump and win, and it was just a good group, and I really enjoyed that tourney in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, when you're playing in your birth year, and it's something you appreciate later on because eventually your birth year you don't play in it anymore. But when you're trying to win, like Joey DiMartino was on Tuesday, and he's a 99, and same thing, every year losing to Missouri or Ontario or California, and finally that last year, the scholarship year, they won it, and he has talked about just that relief of thank God we won this before. Because once it's over, it's over. You can never say you won your division. So pro, you could win for the next 20 years possibly, but that division, your own birth year, it's pretty special. So to finally win it, the last one, when you haven't won it all those times, it's got to feel pretty just relief.
Yeah, it was huge relief. And there was like 4 or 5 core guys who kind of were always on the 93 State Wars team that really deserved it and earned it. And it was great for that to come together in Cincinnati.
Was Connor and Cisco, was he in 93 also?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he played a handful of years on the 93 team.
He was a good player.
Yep.
Yeah, very fast, good player, strong kid.
Yeah.
Yep. Good
Awesome.
athlete.
Right, any last
Yeah,
thoughts?
Tyler, so obviously you've traveled all over North America. What is your favorite city that you've traveled to and part B played in?
I guess
Or it could be 2 different answers there.
favorite city. First of all, playing a professional ice hockey game in Toledo, Ohio is second to none. I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but 8,000 seat arena, 8,000 fans, no matter the day, no matter the night, crazy. Going through a playoff run with them last year, and the home games was crazy. I've made it out to San Diego this year, and I really enjoyed that life. I had some nice weather, some nice views out there, but I don't know. There's
Being
been
quarantined in San Diego wouldn't be that bad right now.
No, I wouldn't even consider that being quarantined really. But there's been so many places I played, and I do love the if you just watch that clip we just played at the Fort Wayne State Wars it always feels like there's people on top of you watching the games and stuff.
Yeah.
And our snipers Alcalá game is packed, and I really enjoy roller hockey when there's people watching, not for me, but just the intensity, the atmosphere is something that can get lost in roller hockey. And when you have a venue like that, and it's awesome.
Awesome.
How about college? Like, where was your favorite place to play in college? Not necessarily the city, but the college arenas.
We played every year. We were fortunate enough to play in Miami,
Yeah.
Miami, Ohio. Your buddy Pat Cannoni went to Miami. They have a brand new state-of-the-art rink, and it's beautiful.
phenomenal,
I'm not sure if you've been there.
Yeah.
That was always a good place to play. we played at Michigan State once. That was fun just because I was being from Michigan, and I necessarily didn't get any love from Michigan or Michigan State about playing there. So going there and playing there was cool. We played at the GLI actually, which is hosted at Little Caesars Arena where the Red Wings play. The first year that they had it at the new rink, we actually won it, and that was cool to win. Cool. And I had a bunch of family and friends there. But yeah, there's been a lot of interesting places I've played. I've played in Alaska every year, so they're unfortunately not on the list for best places to play. But still appreciate going out there and appreciate everything I've been able to do because of the game. It's been great.
Yeah, that's Matty Kleski's hometown, home state.
Yeah, Nanick Nation, Matt Kleski.
Oh yeah. All right, awesome. Well, Tyler, we really appreciate you taking the time today to have with us here. We really love watching you grow through State Wars from that little kid in 2005 getting screwed out of a goal against Kettler and those guys to the phenomenal player you are now, and look forward to hopefully seeing you at Taylor Sportsplex this summer with Alkali Rebel.
Oh, 100%. I'll be there. And I just want to thank you guys, for everything out throughout the years, not even the finals, the tryouts. I remember Greg at Joe Dumars, my first tryout and all that stuff. And if you guys wouldn't mind changing my picture from 5'8", 93 pounds, that'd be great.
I should have pulled that one up.
Yeah, it's still there. Right. All right, buddy. We'll have a good one, right?
We'll thank you guys. Stay
safe.
You,
Ty.
You too.
Take care.
Right,
thanks.
Bye.
Well, that was another great one there. Tyler Spezia. Such a great kid, huh, Greg?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you could say that. I wish I should have pulled that old picture up, his old profile picture up on
it's
the
just
old
so
Point
small,
Street.
those profile. That's a problem, It's so tiny.
Pretty funny stuff, though, that he still remembers that.
I'm really impressed.
Probably yelling at him at tryouts.
What's that?
I probably yelled at him at the tryouts or something.
You're not moving the puck enough or something. Trying to be a hot dog.
Yeah, right.
It's funny because I still remember when he was younger, because, when we first started State Wars, obviously we were new. So to a lot of the players that were a little bit older that had, they'd only known Narch or Tours or Airs, whatever they played in, it was so new to them. So when you have phenomenal players like that, you almost had to constantly remind the families, like, hey, make sure you try out, because it just wasn't a big deal yet to them. Where now State Wars is the main tournament to most people, so they all know about it. But back then, it was new to a lot of people, especially in 2005, 2006. So I remember, constantly emailing Tyler's family, and it would always be exciting when you saw like a Tyler Spezia, a young kid that was such a well-known player and big name player in the area wanting to play, like a Case and Holman we talked about. That 93 birth year, 92 had so many great players.
Yeah.
So,
back then we only had one team in each age group, the first year. So it was really tough to make those teams,
Yeah, for sure.
So
he's I realized in Slovakia in 2017, I knew Tyler, but didn't really know him. But just in the locker room with him every day, because you get to the locker room so early, as you were in the locker room like 2 hours before a game. You're just getting a chance to spend time with him and listen to him amongst the guys. He's just such a good teammate. And just has a lot of fun. He's got a really funny sense of humor, and just really livened up the locker room. And I knew he was a phenomenal hockey player, so it was just great being around him. And we love his family. I love his sister Alyssa and his brother Chad. And I forgot to bring up the one Chad story about him with the white shorts when he spilled fruit punch all over him at State Wars. And he came up to the office, Chad, asking for State Wars shorts because he had a big red stain down his white shorts. And if you know Chad, it makes it really funny. But I forgot to bring that up to him. But hopefully he's still watching this. But he's got a great family. His mom Kelly, a great family. Spezia's a big part of Michigan hockey. And without further ado, let's bring on our next guest. Talk about a staple in a community. Rob Ferrara from Missouri, our state director. And let's bring him on here now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Kavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
We're back here, State Wars Hockey Podcast, episode number 8, Glass Half Full Productions, and we got our old buddy, Rob Ferrara, known as Uncle Rab to those that know and love back home. What's up, Robbie?
What's up, boys?
What's up, Robbie? I thought you'd be in your man cave downstairs in the basement.
I was going to, but me and technology don't get along. This is my first Zoom appearance.
Oh,
hey,
got
good. Is that a virtual background, or is that your real living room right there?
Oh, this is my office.
Oh, okay.
It's leather
Awesome.
for football. You like that?
Oh, okay.
I think I've slept in there before.
Basement.
Yeah.
You guys spent a lot of money because we had the flood that night.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I actually stayed upstairs. I think.
Yes.
I think, Rob, you were lucky we slept over, because if we didn't, you wouldn't have known about that leak probably. I think us staying there helped you find out about that a little quicker.
I would agree 100% because it was dripping on whose head was it? Maxwell's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dripping on Maxwell's head, and he came up and told me, and I'm like, "You're crazy!" And I thought my toilet was leaking. Found out there was a break in the pipe, and the guy said, "Good thing you caught it." And it was like 1,500, but he would have said it would have been like triple if you didn't catch this. So
I think that might have been one of the funniest nights of my life. That's when I went to the casino, and Dexter wanted to stay back, and we made Dexter jokes for about an hour about what he was doing while he wasn't with us, and we were laughing like little schoolgirls, I think, the whole night that night.
that was a good night. We laughed hard about Dexter because we were saying he was cutting up people and hiding in like closets and.
Yeah, that's Dexter for you.
Just to give everyone a little history here. So Rob Ferrara, I've known him forever. I consider him one of my favorite people and best buddies in the sport, to the point of when we go out to Missouri for tryouts, we wind up crashing at his house, which is not the norm for us, but we feel so comfortable with this guy that we stay there. He's also known in other worlds as the uncle to the Maroon brothers. I don't want to just say Pat because I know Phil will get upset and then Justin will get upset. So the older Maroons.
Well, we left out Anthony.
Yep, Anthony too.
And really, it all started with Philip.
Yes.
He was the first one I actually coached.
So Rob is brothers to Pat Maroon and Phil Maroon and Justin Maroon's mom, Patty. So that's how we got to know Rob well back in the day. So I first met Rob in 1997 at All-American, Ayers Nationals, was held out at All-American, and I was working the tournament. We talked about it with Pat the other day. But the All-American rink, then run by Greg Garsh, Rob took over in 2003 and has been running that rink ever since. And that rink is just, you talk to anyone, Dan Costanza brought it up on Tuesday. It's just one of those classics that everyone knows in the sport. There's been so many great games played at that rink. And Rob's been running since 03. So what got you started, Rob, in hockey? And I know you're from Jersey. What got you out to St. Louis and at the rink? And just tell us a little bit about what got you started.
Well, it actually started, I was thinking about this. I was about 9 years old, and I used to play street hockey. About 9 kids around my block. We always had to find a flat piece of land, street, to put your nets up and drag them down the street because I lived on a hill. And we used to get frustrated because we didn't know what color the kids, everybody was wearing blue or black. You didn't know what the hell team people were on. So I actually talked to my dad into bringing me to a sporting goods store and designing T-shirts, a gray one, a red one, and a purple one. And we had 9 kids. We made 3 teams, 2 skaters and a goalie. And we had these little mini games. We had like a league. So it started back then. And then when I was in high school and college, I always played like boys club. There's my picture. It's one of my favorite. I played boys club and then street hockey in leagues in New Jersey my whole life. And
you were a goalie, Rob?
What?
You were the goalie?
I was the goalie, man. I used to have the steel tip shoes that George was talking about in his classic one. That's some of the boys after we had won. I was 31. Billy Smith was my idol back in the day. And that's the year I actually won a championship. But so I played the street hockey high school, from 9 years old all the way through college. We played in leagues and tournaments. We used to play for prize money. It was kind of crazy. And then I moved to St. Louis because the kids used to come visit our shore house in New Jersey. We had a shore house for the summer where Patty and Phil would come down, and the kids were real little. And that's when I used to spend a lot of time with the kids, all the Maroon boys. And they were like, "Oh, Uncle Bobby, you should come move here. You should come move to St. Louis." And one day I picked up and left and moved to St. Louis and left all my friends, yada, yada, yada. And I used to live in their basement. And that's why I was so close to them, because I lived with them. And they made me coach because I played a lot of baseball and football growing up. So I coached Philip's baseball team. I think Justin's baseball team. I did. That's my football picture. Just remember, those pads put about 20 pounds on me. So I coached their baseball team. And then one day, little Philip came home from school and he always had a story. So you never knew it was real or not. And he comes home, he's like, "Hey, we're making a roller hockey team." And I didn't even know what roller hockey, I knew what it was because when I grew up in Jersey, we actually used to make fun of the people playing roller hockey because we thought it was stupid. Like skates, you play on your feet. This is the way we play in the leagues. So that's another story. But so Philip said, hey, can you coach us? And I'm like, yeah, I'll coach you, because it was a lot of the same kids from the baseball. So it was like Philip, Justin, I don't even think Patrick, he was too little. And I just said, oh yeah, I'll coach, because before I left Jersey, even I was coaching street hockey kids in Rutherford and Lyndhurst, kind of where Dennis lives. Like Dennis lived in Wallington, but I was coaching kids in Rutherford. We had little leagues that I used to put on and, you know, have teams. So I was like, oh, I could do this. So we took them up to the school, Queen of All Saints, the church I still belong to. And we used to work out in the heat, you know, and prepare for this All-American that we were going to go to and play. And that's how I really got started in it. And then that led to me meeting Greg Garsh, who owns the building. I used to think he was the janitor, honestly, because he didn't know who he was. I used to hang out with his sister. She was the manager at All-American. And they talked me then coaching some house teams. So that's how it kind of started. And one day Greg came up to me. He's like, hey, you know, I'm on the adult blast. I want to have a kid program. He goes, can you get some kids together out of my league and make a blast team? I'm like, yeah. And it was actually Philip's age group. And I didn't even know how many people we needed on the floor, because the All-American, you played 5 out. You know, it was 5 and a goalie. And we went up to spinning wheels. I brought 3 lines of 5 kids. It was insanity. And we only needed 4 to play on, you know, with the goalie. And we went up and played at JP's team, which never lost. And we beat them. And so that's what it all started. And I came back and we started just slowly building the blast stuff and getting involved.
Yeah, you know, I always fell in love with the St. Louis market. When I went out there in '97, because I worked for Todd and Ayers, I was out there for 2 weeks. And I was at the rink every day. And, you know, I got to know Greg Garsh, who Sean Garsh plays for Palma, and when he owned the rink. And I'll never forget something that always meant a lot to me. Our team, one of my teams, I had a Pee Wee team and a junior team playing that year. And one of them that started later during the tournament, I just wanted to get a practice in. So I had said to Greg, hey, can we just rent the floor sometime, like at night when the games are over, just to get an hour in? And he was like, yeah, just go out there and skate when it's over. Like, you know, didn't charge me nothing, you know. And so it just meant a lot, just how nice people were. And, you know, I always loved that building. That's why every year when I go back, I always make it a point to go to that Missouri tryout, because there's so many things about it that remind me of the past. And it's funny because we have Nick Boyarsky on next from Konixx, who's from Arizona. And I always remember that All-American when the pro shop was in the lobby.
It was.
And I remember when they had
Left
Chandler
side.
was big. Yeah, the left side when you walk it. And
I was there, yeah.
I remember they had those Chandler shoes, the brown ones. And I always liked those sneakers. And the guy from Chandler just gave me a pair because I, you know, worked a tournament or whatever. And but just something that always sticks in my mind, remembering that pro shop.
Yeah.
You know, and the ice rink was melted for the roller on the one side for the tournament. So we played on both sides, and it was hot as hell, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it has that history. It's like Dumars. It's like one of my old, to me, for roller hockey, kind of reminds me of like Fenway Park, the old Yankee Stadium, and like, you know, Chicago, Wrigley Field. And to me, it's like Dumars and All-American are right.
Mhm.
You know, they were
That's character,
Originals.
right?
I remember the old
Character.
Yeah, it had character buildings.
Rob. Do you remember the old rock wall in the back too?
I do.
Yeah.
People still call occasionally and be like, hey, can I rent out that rock wall? I'm like, dude, that was like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that too. I actually have a picture. I was going through some old pictures the other day, and there's a picture of me in my sweatpants climbing up the wall after one of our games.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Now, Tim,
Yeah.
we met, I think, before 97, because I went out to Mountains Rink. You were coaching the Valley Stream Wolves.
Okay.
I used to bring my blast teams out there. I mean, you used to get 1 or 2, and then I used to meet Todd, and he used to petrify me because he'd be like, your luggage didn't come, sorry, we're going to forfeit your games. And you helped me that day because he wanted to forfeit my game. And you talked to him, and you kept saying, I'll talk to him. And then they let, like, our sticks came in the next night, or the next day, I guess. You know, some guy drove in a van, he brings our sticks because they lost all our crap, a lot of it. And you got him to replay our game because he was giving us a forfeit.
Okay.
You know, Todd was hardball, but I love Todd.
Oh, yeah. I remember a funny story with Todd. You know, back in the day, the junior division, I mentioned this to you the other day, that the 5 best teams in the country in junior were basically the California Beach Boys, the St. Louis Tour Blast or Franklin Blast, whatever they were then, the Mission Snipers, Todd's 99ers, and the Michigan Meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Todd calling me up to come out for a regional in Jersey. Like, it seemed like every weekend, Greg, we were out there, right?
Every month at least, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool ring too. I love that ring.
And it got to a point for us, for our junior team, that we really didn't want to go just to go whip up on teams. You know, it wasn't really fun. So we'd always look to play up in adults or whatever. But Todd had called me up, said, hey, you got to come out this weekend or next tournament. The Blast are coming out to play junior. My team's playing. And his team you never knew because he had kids from different parts of the country or whatever. It's like, my team's playing, Blast are coming, and you guys will have one other team. And I'm like, wow. So I sold it to all the parents saying, hey, 2 of the top 4 teams in the country are going to be there. You know, we got to go, you know. And Greg was kind of partners with Todd a little bit with Ayers and stuff at that time. So, you know, it wasn't unbelievable to think that the Blast were going to come out. And literally 2 days before the tournament, Todd calls me up and says, hey, just give you a heads up. The Blast aren't coming anymore. And I'm punishing my team because they missed a practice and I'm not letting them play in the tournament. So they're out. So now it was us and like 3 house teams. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we just sold this tournament on everyone, paid our money, but, you know, that was the shadier part of Todd, I guess, you know, doing stuff like that.
Yeah. I learned a lot from Todd, but he was funny to do business with, you know,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Games and rules.
So let's talk State Wars a little bit, Rob. So you're one of the special group of, and we've talked to other guys. So you, Dennis Jelsic from New Jersey, Peter Dale from Wisconsin, Dan Maxwell from Arizona, and now California. You guys are in that special group of people that since 2005, state director with us and still part of State Wars. And I'm thankful that I haven't scared you off after all these years.
No, it's an awesome ride.
And unfortunately, our pictures from 2005, when they gave them to us, they were on these cartridges we can't even access. So I don't have a picture from 05. I'm not sure if you coached the 92 team that year when you won gold. I assume you did. But we have a picture here from 2006, that same team, 92s. You guys lost in the semifinals, and you won the bronze medal in AAA. So here's an old-time pick for you.
Yeah, I like it. Old school. Yeah, a lot of the boys. Well, the thing was there, I think Joe Cook should be giving me a shout-out because the Blast kids and the Wizard kids, which is this team was made up of, it was Blast and Wizards, and we hated each other. And me and Jeff got together and decided to make a team after that together, you know, when they got a little older, after we started getting to know each other through State Wars. Yep. And all those kids played together, and then Joe grabbed them, you know, they all winded up playing for Joe. That's Tyler and Cody and Corey. It's just funny.
Yeah, that's kind of when we knew we had something special with State Wars, where the 92s, you know, when you have the Wizards and the Blast, who are the 2 of the top teams in the whole country. And like you said, when you live in the same area, you learn to hate one another.
Yeah.
And probably more the parents and the kids half the time and the coaches.
Yeah.
But then for State Wars, they're able to, all right, common goal here. Let's beat everyone else and come together. And that, of course, makes guys more friendly moving forward and makes things a lot easier at home after that. But that team was a perfect example of that. That 92 team went on for years to be a great team. That year in 06, you won 4-0 in the round robin. Then you lost a semifinal to a pretty tough Pennsylvania team. Nate Gerger from the Black Ice Palma Pro team was on that team. Mm-hmm. And then you beat California 5-2 in the bronze medal game to at least salvage a medal that year.
Right. I think that team won with me and Krogman and Novak coach and Novak's dad and Krogi's dad. And I want to say I think we won like 3 times in 5 years. I'm guessing.
Yeah. I actually coached a team in 2007. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess it was, you know, you guys still had the beef going between the Wizards and the Blast. And so I ended up coaching the one year in 2007. And I know Art Sexton helped out on the bench. And yeah, he did all the dirty work for us. And we actually won the year after the picture we just posted, we shared. So yeah. So that was a good memory for me. We beat Michigan in the final, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was a good group. The 92 group was solid. Remember the 89s were really good, and the 94s way back when we first started.
Yep.
Yeah, I looked at a few of the pictures, Rob. So that year in 06, you guys won a couple different divisions, but you know, one team Rick Madison was coaching, one team Tallo's dad was on the bench with someone, and I think Ray's dad was on the bench for one. Todd Johnson. It was all different people we got involved back then, which was great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool. We used to get everybody involved, and it was just fun because then you became actually friends instead of
Right. Right.
Hate each other.
because
And it's still like that today, just different group of characters. We got different characters, different cast out there, people helping out.
Yeah, the names change, but it's a lot of the same,
Right. So then let's fast forward a little bit to 2012. So it was our first year bringing State Wars home to Missouri, which was real exciting for me and for you.
And for me.
And that year with this team was a very special year and a special team. That year, your 1994 team, unfortunately, right before the tournament, one of your players, Nick Watson, had passed away in a car accident.
tragic.
And his brother, Tyler, who was a great player, but in 98 took his spot and played up 4 birth years to play with you guys. And just to talk about how crazy sports are, and this is something you probably couldn't even written, the 94 team, which wasn't a shoo-in to win that division.
No.
You guys went 3-1. You lost to Colorado 4-2 in the round robin. And then you got to the playoffs and you beat Colorado 4-2. You beat British Columbia 3-1. And then you beat Manitoba 6-1 in the championship to win it. But what made it even more wild and special was Tyler Watson, the younger brother who filled that spot 4 years younger. He won the high score award that year in the division, and just made for an incredible, just showed the emotion of this whole team to want to win this. You see his brother's jersey being held there. Just speak for a second about that year, that team, and just the emotions of all that.
That was one of my actually favorite teams of all time because, it was tragedy. It happened. It was like a few days before the game. And I remember reaching out to you, or you reached out to me, and we're like, hey, I think I reached out to you. And I'm like, can he take his brother's place? And, I know the kid's 4 years younger or whatever. And you're like, yeah. So we added the kid. And it was just so much emotion. And the kids just wanted to do it for Tyler, and for the memory of his brother. And the locker room just had so much emotion. And I know we lost that one game. I know we lost by like a goal. And I kept telling the kids, we're not going to let this happen. And I remember the crowds were crazy. I don't know if you guys remember.
I was about to mention that.
The glass. And the place was like sold out at that, in the arena, the main arena. And the one time they shattered the glass from banging on it so much. Remember, it all fell down, a lot of it on me on the bench.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, that's a special team. They really pulled together. And I just think the emotion alone and what happened just carried the team. And what could you say about the brother? Tyler, 4 years younger, he tore it up,
Like I said, that's something you could see a movie written about that,
Yeah, it was like a perfect script. And, and I really think it helped the family at the time a little bit, to get.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, I was looking at pictures last night of the crowd. It was like a Palmer Pro game. How many people were there?
It was packed. They were chanting, and I remember the whole bench. The kids were just fired up, like, we're not going to lose. Like, we got to give more. And kids were blocking shots and, doing everything they could to make sure we won.
So it made this year even more special. Rob was named our director of the year that year, which goes out to the person who is a great ambassador for the sport, growing the sport in their home area, their home state, someone that just means so much to us in the sport. And I was proud to give that award to Rob in his home state in front of those big crowds. Do you remember winning that award, Rob? And what did that mean to you?
I do. Actually, it's behind me. Behind me in this office here. It's a special award, I really got into State Wars from the start, and I thought it was really cool and stuff. And then it just promoted our sport more and more. And then to win the award, of course, it's just really special. Anytime you get recognized and stuff, and
Right.
keep trying to get the kids to play and keep it going.
Now, what has State Wars meant to Missouri? The fact of coming there, 3 different times, and I've seen kids coming out that we hadn't seen in years, and people coming back and playing. And then the good part is then we go to Fort Wayne or Michigan, and some of those kids are still playing the next year, coming back again. So, we always talked about the ups and downs in the sport, but it seems like State Wars had a pretty good effect on the sport locally for you guys.
Oh, for sure. The first year you came, I remember it was like a big buzz, and then I think some people even got shut out because they didn't realize it was going to be that big, and they felt like they missed out. And I know how many times you've been there now? 3?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the second time, I know the registration was crazy,
Yeah.
and you had to build extra like time in to go through all the tryouts. And I know last time it was crazy too. So, and I really think that helps all our rinks. It helps my rink. It helps Perry Turnbull's rink. It helped at the time Rick Madison's rink.
Yeah. And we'll be back in St. Peter's 2021. So, it's always a great spot for us. And, Greg went to college in Lindenwood, so he knows the area pretty well. So I always loved it. So here's a little clip from Rob in either 2009 in Cincinnati. A little clip we did with him. Let's listen to Rob, a little bit younger Rob. I'm here with Rob Ferrara, head coach of the Missouri 98 and 95 teams this summer. Rob's an old friend of mine. We go back about 15 years. Runs the All-American Sports Ball rink out in St. Louis, Missouri. Coaches the Tour Blast year-round. Rob, I know you just got here a couple days ago. How's State Wars running so far, do you think, this year for you?
It's going great so far. It's great with all the sponsors here and showing their support for our sport. The rink's great. Everything's been great so far, and our team's been doing well. My 98 team is 2-0, 2-0-1. We just tied the Florida teams and 98 team, and it was a heck of a game. It was a 2-2 tie.
Well, Rob, obviously there's always been some great roller hockey talent out in Missouri, but I really sense at State Wars, the people of Missouri really take a lot of pride in coming from Missouri and representing their state well. Do you get that feeling as well?
Yeah, I think they love the event. It's a little different than your typical travel stuff. It's a state team, and they're really excited about it. And every year we've been getting more and more support out of Missouri.
All right, great.
Talking about State Wars.
Well, Rob, as usual, it's great having you here. You're a great supporter. You're a great ambassador for the sport of roller hockey. You always have been, and good luck the rest of the way with both teams.
Thanks, Tim.
Seems like
that clip, Rob.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday, man.
Doesn't it?
I think my 98s won that year.
Oh, yeah?
I think it could have been the year, the one year I remember, Jinsey Donna, I know you're aware of Jinsey. She was like a beast on defense, shutting people down. And we had some good players. I remember it was like TJ Friedman and Bubby and Jake Faulkner, a bunch of people. Yeah, over the years, you've had so many different teams, and it's hard to keep track of which ones you coach each year. You're always helping out. And it's funny, every year, every team seems to say, can we have Rob coach? We have Rob coach. And unfortunately, Rob always had to get back to work at some point, so he couldn't coach every single team. So he had to pick his spots. But I give Rob credit. He didn't always just want to jump on the best team, Greg. He would do whatever team he could. And I think Greg's got a picture here of, with some other guys, some of your boys that you help coach. Here's some of the teams, and, Sapienza and DeGrode and some of the other guys. Here's Donnie Hager and my buddy Donnie and Jinsey.
Yeah. Jinsey Dunn there.
And George in goal.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Donnie's a great guy.
Donnie Hager's been a huge help to you. There's Sapienza and DeGrode helping you out with the 94 team. That was back in 2017 in Michigan, that picture there. Mm-hmm. So, you're only as good as your people, and you seem like you've had a lot of good people over the years helping you out.
Oh, for sure. I've had great support. I mean, it started, I guess, way back when. I guess Art Section used to help, and then I know, Donnie came aboard, and he's been helping for years now. And I've even gotten some old players to come back. I know Kettler's come and help a few times on the bench, and a few different guys.
Yeah, that last picture Greg just showed, that was a 2008 team trophy. In 2019, last year, you guys won. You beat Ontario pretty good, 7-2 in the final. And that's goalie Russell Kemp with you and Donnie Hager.
Yeah.
That cup's almost as big as the kid.
It is. That was a special one, too, because as you know, the Maroons, I'm their uncle, but I never got to coach Pat, Phil, or Justin at State Wars because they were too old, and I used to always teach the younger guys. And so Anthony was actually the first nephew that I won a gold medal with State Wars. And then Pat was on the bench. Or no, Phil was on the bench and Pat, I think.
Yeah. I think Pat this year set back. He was more of a fan, but Phil helped out. And the year before, Pat helped out a little bit more on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil really wanted that coaching job. I remember before the tryouts, he's like, I really want to coach this team. I need to talk to my uncle. I really need to get in there and coach Anthony. This is my only opportunity. Phil, he's persuasive.
Girls, I'm not going to be able to coach anymore. My wife's not going to let me out of the house. But I had a blast. Phil and I did it, and we always have had a blast. I mean,
Yeah.
Now, how has it been for you, Rob, full circle to now you're coaching your nephew's son, so Pat's son, Anthony, and obviously seen how much he loves the game and how much excitement he has. Do you see a little bit of Pat in him from when Pat was little at that age, or what do you see in Anthony?
I see, I'm seeing more and more of the patience that Pat has a kid, and the hands really, you know what I mean? But right now we got him playing defense. Justin was a defenseman, so.
Yep.
Okay.
We got him playing D, and he's carrying the puck, and he likes it. You know what I mean? He's having fun. So it's a blast, and it's just family stuff to me. You know what I mean? It makes it a little more special coaching because you're coaching a family member.
Right. Now, speaking of family, obviously, you were, you're really close with your nephews and whatnot. You're that uncle everyone wants to have that's involved, and the cool uncle. How special was it for you just to share in that whole Stanley Cup run? Just having Patrick make the NHL had to feel really great, but then hometown to have that run with the cup, what did that mean to you?
It was surreal, super special. Again, as a kid growing up in New Jersey, I was a big Islander fan, watching guys lift the cup up, and then to actually watch my nephew do it, and then actually touch it myself and lift it, and then he brought it back to the rink, which was super special. Like Pat's always giving back, so that's kind of cool. And he brought it to his roots, one of the places. And
that's a great pick there. Quincy, you got Quincy, Tammy, you and Pat, that's like the cement of All American right there, all together.
Yeah, my sidekicks, I'm in trouble. Quincy's actually working on the rink all week, and Tammy's been doing some stuff too, and just trying to prepare so we can open again after quarantine's over, that we're gonna be bigger and better.
Shout out to Quincy and Tammy, who are two of our favorites in the sport. Definitely always big helps for us out there. And there you are with your niece Jennifer. Everyone forgets there's a female Maroon as well.
Yeah, forget Jen. She'll love the shout out here. But yeah,
shout out Jen.
Yeah.
So Greg, you grew up not growing up, but you grew up as an adult almost in Missouri, going to Lindenwood, and obviously became very close with the Maroon family and whatnot. So I'm sure you've got some stories, some you couldn't tell here, but we had a lot of fun with that group.
Yeah, I knew the Maroons obviously before I moved to St. Louis, and I actually played on a team with Philip back at a Norwich International with Kyle Kramer's team. It was a Tour Blast team or a tour team tour, and I got to know Phil really well there. And from there on, Phil, we would talk almost daily. He'd call my house, middle of the night, just to BS. And it's funny, if you actually ask Phil today, he could probably tell you my old house number, phone number from my parents' house growing up. He used to memorize everyone's phone number, Phil.
Phil's relentless.
Yep.
Phil always finds a way to get his way. And even when he was little, he'd always find a way to wind up on a trip he wasn't supposed to go on. Over the years. I remember one time I was heading out to Jersey to Todd's rink, and Phil asked if he could go, and he was like 8. His team wasn't playing. I'm like, no, you can't go, because I didn't want to babysit him. And he kept being persistent. He found a way to go, and then I winded up, of course, taking him. And he was getting on the kid's nerves because he was 2 years younger than the team. And I allowed the team that year, which is pretty funny, to they stripped him down to his boxers. They put him, and this is in the hotel across the street from Todd's place. They put him in the elevator, and they duct taped him to the office chair, and they pressed every button, and they left him.
That's a great story.
We did that to a few people.
Yeah. So no, one of my most memorable, my times living out in St. Louis was playing for Rob's Pi-Ha team, the Southside Snipers, and that was an awesome time, awesome experience, and I remember there was a huge draft. They had a lot of like a restaurant catered it, and there were people there just for the draft. It was awesome. And Rob drafted myself and Tommy Bruce 1 and 2.
Too, baby.
Yep, and we had some good times from there, and we won some games, and I think we ended up making it to the finals. But I think myself and Tommy Bruce went and played IHF that year, and we couldn't go to the finals and play in Colorado.
I know that team won one year, but I don't remember how many years we played.
Yeah, you guys actually beat my team
Second year in Colorado.
The Suffolk Sting team. You guys with Sean Garsh and Sexton and Bokina. Tim actually coached our team that year, and Big Worm McCoy coached Sniper back then.
Yeah.
So so that was a great memory I had going up to All American all the time when I lived in St. Louis. So those are times I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you have plenty of stories.
I think my favorite part of St. Louis, we haven't even mentioned yet, Greg, and if Dexter was watching right now, he'd be all over us. When we land in Missouri, what's the place we got to run to within 15 minutes of landing? What?
Lion's Choice.
There you
Lion's Choice.
I know that.
So anyone at home hasn't been to Lion's Choice, when you come to State Wars next summer in St. Peter's, roast beef fast food place, home of a 25-cent ice cream cone. Can't beat it.
No, good fries with seasoning on them.
Oh, yeah.
Beef is like medium rare. It's money.
Yeah, it's real roast beef. It's not like that fake Arby's crap.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's funny, when I went out to tryouts last year in St. Louis, your nephew Phil picked me up from the airport, and he's like, oh, before the flight, he's like, you want to go to the game tonight? This is when the Stars were playing in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Wasn't the game that Pat scored, but it was a game where they actually got smoked. And Phil picks me up, right? Cruises down. I see him pulling up. He's got a bag of Lion's Choice for me. So that was pretty cool.
Phil takes care of everybody.
He does. He's a good friend.
Now, Lion's Choice is definitely, it's the State Wars hockey of fast food. You want the best, you go to Lion's Choice when you get to Missouri.
Oh, for sure.
And also don't speed when you land at the airport there, because there's cops that pull you over for going 1 mile per hour over the speed limit as soon as you leave the airport. That's my tip for the day.
They're a little looser now. That's a classic one. That's great, baby.
This is an old communion picture or something, it looks like. Were you a Beatles fan, Rob?
Sure. What, buddy?
Rob, you a Beatles fan?
Oh my God, that's really old too. That's my sister's wedding. That's hilarious.
That's the original car phone right there, Rob.
You're absolutely correct.
This is a classic as well, Rob.
That was the Studio 54 outfit, boys.
Yep.
New York, when I was younger, I used to have an ID that said Ted Simmons on it, and that's what I called. I don't know why. And but yeah, I used to get in the clubs at 18, I guess. There.
They're on the Cavaricis. Rob was on the prowl right there.
That's right, baby.
Oh yeah. So Rob, I'm gonna ask you some questions here. Just want to throw some stuff at you, get your mind working a little bit. So, out of every player you've coached in your entire life, okay, everyone's in their prime. If you got to coach $1 million game and you could put out on the floor 1 goalie, 2 forwards, and 2 D, who would you put out there?
Oh, that's tough. I'd put out there.
Start with the goalie. Who would your goalie be?
Probably tough. I'd go Trevor Heath.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Trevor.
My 4 would be, this is real hard, and I'll just go of any of the kids that are all from Missouri. I would say like Cody Kettler, Sean O'Rourke, David Mikowski. I don't know. This is too hard.
Tallow?
Well, but I mean, Pat played for me a few times too, so it just depends. I mean, but if I'm leaving family out of it, maybe PJ, I guess. I mean, there were so many. The more I thought about it, because I was thinking about all the kids that I coached. I mean, like Tate Medini was really good in the day. Cody's brother Corey's awesome, still awesome.
Tate Matheny won MVP that year in 06 in their division. I saw in the pictures in 94.
That's the game we were down 5-1, and you were up in the top watching with Darren. I still remember that to this day. And we were down 5-1 with 4 minutes left in the game, 4:50 left.
Wow.
And the North Carolina people were going crazy the whole game. And we started coming back. And then I think we beat them like in double overtime or something. You might have to stat, I don't know.
Right.
And we wound up winning the gold that time. That's one of my favorites too.
Well, Missouri has 206 all-time medals, second only to Michigan, who has 207. So you guys are neck and neck. So this year you got to take them over.
Oh,
all-time medals.
Yeah, we're going for them this year. And actually, I was looking in AAA medals. We're in second place too, and I'm pretty sure Michigan is a little ahead of us there too.
Okay. And maybe Michigan's the answer to this, but out of all your years, who was a state or two that you always saw as a challenge? Like you see them on the schedule going, all right, I got to assume these guys are pretty good. Who are the states you think of immediately when you see that?
No, I always remember the my 95, I had a good 95 group, and we never could get past, the boys from PA.
Yeah.
When I love Tyler Craft, I'm friends with a lot of them, over the years, but, just great team. So PA, Michigan, of course, so, I mean, always Michigan, like just, any team like Tyler Spezia, because we go way back since he was a little kid and coaching him a bit and stuff. And so the Michigan, and of course, California, because when we first started, everybody always wanted to beat California because everybody thought that was the best team.
Well, it's funny, and it shows the strength of State Wars has become. In 2012, when we had tryouts by you guys the first time, the tryouts were huge, and the teams were unbelievable. And I remember flying home with Greg, and we were talking about, this might be a year you see the home state win every division. Like, I could see Missouri win in every division here. And we were like, I don't know if that's good for business if they win everything. And that 94 team you coached was the only Missouri team to win the gold AAA medal that year. Which was so shocking to me. And it just showed the strength of, there are a lot of states that have really stepped it up over the years, and it's a tough tournament to win now.
Oh, it's really hard. And I think it's harder to win it in your home state because I like going away personally. I like to travel.
Distractions, right?
Well, distractions, correct. Because when you're home, you're still, your dad's still yelling at you. You're still cutting the lawn. You're still hanging out with your girlfriend. But when you're away and we're in like the Edge, my favorite rink we've ever been to, the original. We used to go to team dinners and team lunches, and the kids would bond.
Right.
I mean,
I guess you answered my next one. I was going to ask, what's your favorite spot of all your State Wars besides your home area?
The Edge, hands down.
Bensenville.
That's always been my favorite. I love that place. Maybe one day you go back.
Yeah, I know Tammy always likes it. She had good shoes in Chicago, she used to tell me.
Well, good food too, and it was like a fun little town.
Yeah.
That's one.
It's funny. I liked Bensenville because it was the original. And I love that main rink. But as far as everything else, I always liked Darien in Illinois because all three rinks were in one building, and it was an area that had more going on. There were more things in that area. So I always liked that one better of the two. But I just liked being in Chicago. So it was just a great area for us.
Darien was tight, but the rinks were fine. I liked that they were all together, but there wasn't a lot of room for sponsors as much.
Yeah.
That's the only disadvantage. You can't have
It was
everything.
a little warm.
Yeah, we used the field house for a little while to put the sponsors in, I think.
Yeah, we had to, but it lost a little of that flair. But I mean, you lose a little at the Edge because you had to walk across the street for that one ring, kind of like St. Peter's. But
Yep.
Well, the Edge, they were upstairs between 1 and 2, and that it was a nice big area, but it was kind of, you had to go to it to find them, and it was a little warm up there.
It was.
You know how the sponsors are very lot of you got to take care of these guys. They want fans blowing on at all times. They want girls coming around with snacks.
That's right.
But so, Rob, away from hockey here, do you enjoy coaching more than playing? I guess is coaching in your.
Really always took a liking to like coaching. I love playing as a kid, but coaching.
New Jersey or Missouri?
Oh, for food, New Jersey, but I guess life, because I have a rank, Missouri.
Okay. Are you more of a call or a texter?
Oof. I would say I'm more of a caller, I guess, still. But moving over.
Chicken cutlet parmesan or meatball sub?
Chicken parm all day.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
I'll go Goodfellas, Miracle, and Rocky would be my top three.
It's three good ones right there. I know from your haircut, I know the answer to this, but the Beatles or Led Zeppelin?
I guess Beatles.
All right. Dogs, cats?
Had a dog as a kid, had a cat when I was married. So dogs first.
Dogs. All right. Lion's Choice or Wendy's?
Oh, Lion's Choice blows it away. Chick-fil-A is better than Wendy's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us, Rob, think of one of your top one or two State Wars memories.
Mm-hmm. I think the top memory is probably that 94 team that came back and won down by so many goals. Because we were down by 4, and Matheny and Cody Kettler just tore it up. It was actually Corey Kettler, not Cody, because they were 94s. So that memory, I think it was 206. And then the other one, I mean, the Tyler Watson thing ranks right up there for sure. When he played for his brother. That year, that was a really special team. The 98 team, and I don't know what year it was we won. And again, that was one when Chincy Dunn was a defenseman. And she just played so awesome. My brother played great goal, and the whole team came together. And that was like something special. Good win there. And I enjoyed last year, actually, that 02 team that we usually put together. We usually lose in the final, or we lose in the final because we're in the penalty box for 3 weeks. And this year, the moon was perfect, and they played awesome. They really came together. The boys we had this for that last year's team, and the 02s won it. So that was something special. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good team. I remember at tryouts, I'm like, wow, this team, obviously over the years, you see this team growing and growing, and there's always talent. But this past year, I could tell at tryouts that these guys really wanted it. And a couple of the players who've always been very good, they actually stepped their game up as well. And that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
So
it's good to see him being pushed and stuff. Because, you don't want to think just because you played State Wars at 8 means you make it at 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Competition's good.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. So you and I have seen that firsthand in Missouri, and like every state, you and I talk a lot. That's what happens, right? Players, parents just assume, oh, he's been on the team, it's going to be easy, and then next year more kids come out, kids get better, things change. And, that's one of the nice parts about our process is a guy like you is not being the bad guy there, where we're flying out guys from out of state and we got to make tough decisions, and not always perfect, but at least they're always fair, right?
Right. I mean, I like that part of it is that it takes it off me, and you guys are just deciding what you're deciding. The tough part is the kid's not a good trial kid. You might miss them, but I mean, it happens. I'm sure over the years, some kids slid through and some kids didn't, it always works out though.
Right.
Yeah. I know a couple of times at tryouts, you're like, wow, you guys took that kid, huh? And I'm like, he had a good tryout. You're like, you know what? He did. So
yeah,
it's tough sometimes.
It's tough when you don't know him, and especially numbers on, jersey numbers, you're just looking like, if a kid's a hustler, he's busting his butt, he's a good skater, he might, beat out that defenseman.
And at least it teaches kids a little bit of that work ethic. Hey, you got to go out there and work hard and show something. You can't just go out there and float around that you're just going to make it on your name. Like Tim and Greg might not even know who you are. You're just wearing a State Wars jersey with number 15 on it. You're not,
right. Yeah. I mean, that's the neat concept, and the neat concept of just playing for the same state, which, playing, all the other circuits as a coach. I remember getting frustrated because sometimes we couldn't compete because a lot of other states would have, multiple guys, from other states. And it was like, well, how do you compete with that? Or like, I remember our 93 year, the one that Spezia played on, we only could find 4 kids who would travel. So we had a boy from Iowa used to come to our practices to play with us, Corbin Belling. You remember the Bellings from Iowa? And then Spezia didn't have a team, and his mom, his dad at the time when he was living, he used to drive down and bring his kids to practice and for weekends, Tyler. And it was like he said, a lot of bonding and hanging out and stuff. But you had to try to build a team if you didn't have the guys. Right.
Well, you see, as running a local rink, kids, when kids have something to shoot for, playing in the house league is all great and all, but they want to shoot for something as they get better. And when you have that blast team or Team Missouri, even to a bigger level, and they go to a tournament like State Wars, it's just going to get them more excited for the sport. They're going to want to play more hockey, and it just helps grow the local sport a little bit. So, we need to keep pushing people to recognize what's out there, because that's what's going to keep them excited. You look at someone like Greg or myself or even you, if it wasn't for tournament hockey, none of us would be in the sport probably right now, so it's a huge part of it. And we need to just continually keep educating people about that opportunity to play for a travel team or to play for Team Missouri, because that's going to keep them excited about the sport.
For sure. And once I find that if you get a kid, like an ice kid who never played roller, I'll talk to some of the coaches and I'll be like, hey, try to get somebody new to play. Mm-hmm. And the kid will love it once he starts. Now, the parents might not let him play forever because of ice hockey, yada, yada, yada. But you get more kids involved. They like it. They get on their parents. Let me play State Wars this year. And all of a sudden you have another State Wars player.
Right. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, Rob,
before we go, we just a little shout out. I know one of your favorite gals have moved to the West Coast, Sarah Beer. So she just wanted to give a shout out to Coach Rob.
Yeah.
And she loves your street hockey talk. She wanted me to bring that up.
I love Sarah. Sarah's one of my all-time favorite employees.
Great girl, Sarah. Played Team USA last summer, the women's team, when we were in Barcelona. So we got to spend some time with Sarah, another gold medalist. So great girl.
And now she's famous, guys. You see her on the
CarShield commercial.
Yeah,
commercial for CarShield with Patton, and she's driving a Zamboni. I told her she should have smiled. I don't know why she didn't smile.
I was hoping she was going to run Pat over with that thing.
She could have.
So, all right, Rob, well, it's been great having you. We appreciate you taking your time on this Thursday for us. And more importantly, we appreciate all you've done in the sport since back when you were wearing your Cavaricis, whatever you were wearing in that one picture. I always look forward to my time out there, spending time with you, and hopefully we'll be out there soon, getting to go to the casino, have some dinner and drinks like we normally do. And hopefully I'll look forward to seeing you at Taylor Sportsplex this summer behind the bench where you belong. Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and hopefully we can keep doing this for another 10, 15 more years at least. All right, buddy. Great seeing you. Thanks. Have a good day, all right? Boys.
See you, Robbie.
Right. Take care.
Take care.
All right, Uncle Rob. Gotta love that guy. One of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I really loved hanging out with him a lot when I lived in St. Louis. We'd have some laughs, and every time we get to go back there, it just brings back a lot of memories, and we have a lot of good laughs. So always a good time with Uncle Rob, and he loves his East Coast people,
Yeah, he's such a chill guy. Like, he's the guy who say, hey, Rob, I heard that restaurant. It's great. Oh, it's awesome. Oh, that restaurant. I heard that restaurant. It stinks. Like, he's agreeable. He just kind of just goes with the flow, and got a great wit about him, and just has so much history with the sport that him and I could just talk roller hockey all night long about the old days. And it's fun to have people like that you could actually talk about the old days with still. So it's great catching up with him as always. And obviously a lot of family history there in Missouri with his nephews and whatnot. Yeah.
Also shout out to Patty Maroon, his sister, for giving me those gems of pictures, those great pictures of Rob growing up. So that was pretty cool to have as well.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. Want to do some birthday shout outs. We didn't do them before. So we got, speaking of Missouri, Ricky Tratwain, our buddy from Missouri. His birthday's today. Dante Gatone, Daryl James, one of the Dominic James's dad from Michigan, who was always a great fan of ours from Michigan. Hoping we'd see him this summer out there. I know it's his birthday. Dylan Holtz from New York, an old player of mine, great hockey player. And I know yesterday was Chris Treft, one of our voices of State Wars, our play-by-play man. Don't want to leave him out. It was his birthday yesterday, and we'll have him on the show actually next week. So we'll look forward to hearing Trefty coming on and talking about himself. So,
he'll love it.
Favorite topics,
Also, shout out to it's also my dad's birthday today. He would have been 66 today.
Oh, happy
and
birthday.
Also my uncle. He would have been 71 today. So,
all right.
Yeah.
The great man in the Thompson family there. Happy birthday.
Yep. For sure.
All right. Speaking of the great man, let's bring Nick Boyarsky from Konixx on next, all the way from Arizona. So let's bring him on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
And we're back here, State Wars Hockey Podcast, Glass Half Full Productions, and we're with our buddy, I'm assuming all the way from Arizona. I see the wheels on the wall, Nick Boyarsky. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Tim. How you guys doing?
What's up, Nick? What's going on?
Hey, Greg. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Wheels are always spinning over there.
They're doing something. Let's put it that way.
So how you making out in quarantine Thursday out there in Arizona? How's I mean, at least the weather's beautiful, so that's got to help.
If you count 101 as beautiful, I'll go right with you on that. We're
Wow.
This time of year, I think we would have started doing this anyway, just sitting indoors all day. It's so damn hot out. But no, it's been up until about a week ago. It was gorgeous. Like going outside, taking a walk, like, you know, that looking at positives from this. That's something I wouldn't have done normally. I would have been buried in my office all day. And, you know, now I'm getting out, taking a walk twice a day, middle of the day in the sunshine. It's nice. Got to find the positives, right?
Yeah, you know, that's part of our theme with this podcast. You know, life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. And we've been trying to, you know, talk about positives with this. I know personally being able to spend time with my kids every day and go out in the yard and shoot baskets. They play basketball and soccer and go on walks and bike rides and do some rollerblading around town and countless hours of activities that we definitely wouldn't have been having right now if it wasn't for this quarantine. Movie nights and eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, where on a normal week at my house, the odds of all of us being home for dinner at the same exact time is probably at 1% odds of that happening.
Yep.
Everyone's always running somewhere. So the fact that we've all slowed down a bit, I can be honest, it's been pretty cool for us. I mean, obviously, we'd rather be working a little bit. I'm missing playing hockey. And you get tired of each other a little bit, but other than that, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways for me with my family.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also given me a chance to catch up with a lot of people, you know, kind of having that long day, that slowdown. I don't think I've been at home this long in a row in 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm usually gone every single weekend. So this has been kind of a weird like, oh, this is what it's like to be home this many days in a row. This is what it's like to, you know, not be running from airport to rental car to airport to rental car. So it's been nice. I've been able to catch up with people, long phone calls with people I haven't talked to in years. That has also been awesome.
Yeah, I'm noticing that every podcast we've had, including yours, the rooms behind everyone looks very neat. And whether they do a quick cleanup for the podcast or everyone's just doing like we've been doing, cleaning the house while this is going on. It's like every day it's a different room we're trying to hit. So I would think there'll be a lot more cleaner homes when this is all done. I know I see a lot of black garbage bags out on everyone's curb from getting rid of garbage that they haven't had time to rifle through everything. I know Greg's been cutting down trees in his yard, and well, not him, but having people do that. And
I've been doing a lot of it.
Not him, having people.
No, I've been out
Wife's
there
been doing it.
taking down fences and everything.
I keep telling myself I'm going to clean my garage before this quarantine's over, and I just keep waiting for the quarantine to be over so I can go, oh, damn, I missed it. We'll see.
Nick, what are the numbers looking like out there in Arizona with the
We're
virus?
honestly, because our sprawl is kind of so spread out, like there's a lot of people in the Phoenix metro area, but we're all pretty spread out. You know, it's just tract homes for miles and miles and miles. So everyone's been pretty good about adhering to the social distancing, working from home, doing all the things we're being asked to do. And I think it's helping. We're, you know, I don't think we're in the greatest spot, but we're definitely not in the worst spot. The county that I'm in, Maricopa County, is the most populous. So obviously we got a little more than everyone else. But I think as a state, we're doing well. They just extended our stay at home for another 15 days last night. And they're going to take kind of what everyone else is doing, slow openings. You know, some stuff will happen in the next 4 or 5 days. And then after that, some more stuff will happen. And hopefully 15 days from now, we're hearing a lot more is going to open up. And ice rinks, I'm hearing rumors this morning that some of the ice rinks in town are letting small group rentals, 4 or 5 kids or less, get in for the ice rinks. So we're going to, after this podcast, we're going to make a call to the 2 inline rinks in town, see if we can get something like that going.
Cool.
I think parents are itching to get their kids out of the house for multiple reasons, probably. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that's, you know, by this time next week, there's some kids doing some sort of hockey again here.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
one of the other positives we've seen on the business side for inline hockey, you know, talking to pure hockey sales have been crazy online, with Skates and Wheels, talking to Dave Resky with Hockey Monkey, skate sales, wheels and everything has been crazy. Talking to Rob Chernobyl, he said sales have been great with wheels. Joe Cook talking about his business. Just sales have been busier than ever. I think they've made more money since April 1st than they did all last year. Just crazy numbers. I was wondering on your end with Konixx, what are you seeing on that end with you guys with wheels and stuff?
Well, if this puts it into perspective, I sold 6 months worth of outdoor wheel inventory in about 18 days.
Wow.
So, if that gives you an idea of kind of where we're at.
It's incredible.
The kind of maybe something, I don't know if it's people being optimistic. I've seen uptick in indoor wheel sales in the last 72 hours. And that's got to tell me some people are feeling like they're going to get back on a rink soon, even if it's in a few weeks.
Right.
Like mentally that helps you to think about like, all right, might be on the rink in a couple weeks. Got to replace my wheels because, I went out in the street and trashed them over the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So it's good. Like, I think that's a good mental space. What you were saying before, I think is huge. And that we all kind of in our industry saw this over the last probably 6 weeks, like this ridiculous amount of inline skates being sold. The guys at Behind the Mask, the local chain of stores here that I worked at for a lot of years, they blew through inline skates and they're still daily blowing through inline skates. We don't have a ton of roller hockey here. I mean, we have some, but we have 2 rinks left, so there's not a ton. I'm from a state standpoint, I'm thinking about all these kids, adults, everything that has started. Yeah, that's my old work spot. Those guys are saying to me, we're selling so many skates, there's no way these rinks don't fill up when this is done if people that have rinks are smart enough to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
So that's a positive.
I'm not sure if you listened to the podcast on Tuesday. We were talking a bit on Tuesday when I was talking, I think, with Matt Koleski about, when this is all done, you got to assume certain things could happen. There's going to be all these people that have been rollerblading around and skating that maybe didn't do much of it before, ice kids and whatnot, that maybe liked it, enjoy it, and maybe they might try it more. Hopefully, even if we retain a little bit of those kids, that'll be a great positive.
Yep.
There'll be some people, financially that could be hurting that, ice hockey is a big nut. And, in the past, roller hockey was always a great, cheaper supplement to that. So maybe more people will be trying some more roller hockey, knowing they can't do as much ice just financially. And also, I think a lot of people, hopefully, and you know how it is, some people don't learn lessons or whatnot, but I'm hopeful that a lot of parents, and not just hockey, in all sports, realize after this that, you know what, my kid took a break from a sport for a few months and they're okay. They're not terrible at it. They could it's like riding a bike. They're playing fine again within a couple days, and their body's got a break, their mind's got a break, and it's okay to try other things and maybe throw a baseball around or shoot some hoops or ride a bike or play some roller hockey or something different. And I'm hoping and praying that light bulb goes on with some parents' minds out there, because I know it has for me as well with my kids. So
yeah, I think the break that's actually an angle I hadn't thought of before, but I think that's a really valid point. Obviously, like everyone that coaches roller, you have a ton of kids that play ice now, and mine are no different. And the first couple weeks of this, the parents were freaking out, not about their kids couldn't skate, but is some other kid getting some opportunity theirs isn't to stay sharp? How's that going to affect tryouts when they have them? And I think kind of everyone coming in for the most part, and even, everyone's been off skates other than inline. I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy for a lot of these guys to realize I didn't do 700 things for ice hockey every single camp. My kids still made the same thing.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll maybe help with some summer roller and getting some kids that might have been worried about missing every ice thing to realize they can.
Yeah, and I think seeing a lot of these NHL guys on social media, when you see a Tyler Sagan with his skates, or Connor McDavid, or Max Domi, or some different guys I've seen around, Ovechkin talking about, these different guys. I think that'll also wake up some people too, saying, all right, these guys wouldn't be doing that if it's bad for them, like it's a good way to do some other stuff. I mean, Greg, your thoughts? I know you've been rollerblading around town a little bit.
Yeah, I actually see a bunch of kids skating around town that I don't normally see skating, so it's pretty cool to see. Even my neighbors across the street are playing hockey and shooting balls into the net, so that's awesome. But definitely, it's good for the body. You definitely need a break. Look at the NHL guys, right? After the season's over, they take a month or so off, month and a half off to rest the bodies, and then they start training like halfway through the summer, just to get a break. So obviously, it's a good thing. I didn't listen to the episode, but I know Ryan Getzloff was on Spit and Chicklets the other day, and he actually said one year, I think it was like the year after they won the cup, he didn't put his skates on until training camp. I mean, the first day of training camp. So he didn't skate at all. So if guys like that could do it, I mean, a little kid who's got talent, I'm sure they could do it as well. So pretty cool to see. But yeah, definitely a rest of the body is good for the kids for sure. And obviously they're doing other sports as well, like shooting hoops, like Tim's kids. I know they're playing lacrosse and doing other stuff in the yard. And I think it helps them in the long run. So it's good stuff.
100%. So Nick, I know we brought up a picture there behind the mask, a store chain in Arizona that you worked at.
Yeah.
So what got you started in the sport originally?
Wow. Well, when I was in junior college about 90 decades ago, I was working at a skate shop that sold inline skates and hockey sticks and stuff like that. Late 90s, roller hockey was just starting to boom. This was in Northern California. And all the guys that worked there started playing roller hockey before I started working there. The owner of the store built a rink in downtown San Jose. And the guys I was working with were like, hey, if you're going to work here, start playing hockey with us. So they dragged me out to a park, put a stick and skates in my hand, and joined a league with them afterwards and had a blast and played another season, and then wanted to play two at once, two leagues, and couldn't afford it. So the rink was like, well, if you guys coach a youth team, you can play for free. And being the cheap ass that I was, that seemed like a really good idea. So my buddy and I coached like a 12 and under house league team or something. And I had a blast with that. I had fun. I felt like I was connecting. And even though I didn't really know much more about the sport than they did, I was with a couple guys that really did. And I kind of learned from them while the kids were learning from them. And that just kind of took off from there. And I moved to Arizona to go to ASU, and our Bauer rep at the time got me a job at a hockey shop out here, actually at Played Against Sports out here. And that just kind of progressed into eventually working for Behind the Mask. And I was there for about a decade and a half until I got here.
Wow. It's a long time.
It is. That was like a chapter in my life, big, thick chapter in my life. One that I'll always look back on fondly. It was great,
sure.
But sometimes you just need a change, and this was it.
Yeah, I'm sure you learned a lot about the wheel business too. Seeing what was good, what was bad, and what could be done better. So seeing that daily, I'm sure that helped you big time with Konixx.
It did. Also seeing how the industry works, how buying works, how smaller retailers interact with large internet guys. That's a whole little inside baseball world that the consumer doesn't realize. There's a whole little, I don't want to call it a war, but like a whole little, market going on behind the scenes there. And everything that happens affects every little part of retail for hockey. So coming into this with that perspective and a lot of what we do internally as a company, I use Behind the Mask to think about. How would we have reacted to this? How would we have taken advantage of that? What would we be looking for in a vendor if I was them? And then trying to incorporate how we do business into that.
That's awesome.
I mentioned with Rob Ferrara before you, the old Chandler company, with gear.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
I worked at that rink.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember the company. I remember I love those brown sneakers, the Chandler sneakers. They gave me a pair, and I had a pair. Blue and black gear gloves. There's like a pair of gloves I used to wear sometimes. I used to always like their stuff, and so that was.
I had the skates as well.
What's that?
You have some gear skates or some Chandler skates?
I had the Chandler skates.
Oh, we got to talk at some point about how I can get a pair of those off. Get that pair off you.
Oh, I definitely don't have them anymore.
Oh, you don't have any more.
I remember the eyelids. I think they were ripping on the sides.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was just a leather flap or something. If you pull it up on it, just rip off eventually.
But they were so comfortable. Even the gear skates, they were comfortable out of the box as well. I know a lot of the reps.
Yeah, best repping skate ever.
Yep. And that's what everyone always says. But I remember the Chandlers, they were awesome. And they were comfortable. So, yeah.
Yeah, they looked oddly a lot like another brand at the time. Which was a funny. I moved to Arizona like right in the middle of kind of Chandler and gear really ramping up. The rink I worked at the second year I lived here was the gear rink, the Chandler Sports Spectrum. And I moved from Northern California where Mission was pretty decently big, and I went to my job interview in a Mission hat. And like I got through the door and like legitimately my buddy that got me the interview like pulled me aside. He's like, bro, you got to take that off. Like you're not even gonna get let into the office with that. I'm like, come on, it's a hat. He's like, no, seriously.
Good thing you did.
No joke. Like it was that tenacious back then. But that rink was Arizona's roller hockey. That's where it all started. It was cool to have at least at the end been part of it.
Now, the history with roller hockey for me in Arizona, when we started State Wars in 2005, Dan Maxwell was living there at the time, and Jeremy Goltz and all these guys and some real active dads who were a big part of it. And we had some great years early on with Arizona. Numbers were huge there, which was great. And like some other markets, I think when ice hockey got bigger out in the desert, obviously it started eating away at the sport a little bit, unfortunately. Where back then there wasn't much ice going on. And then as it got bigger and bigger, it affected the roller side.
Jesus.
But then, I remember you in 2015 coaching the 01 team from Arizona. And I know we have a picture of it. You guys took home the bronze medal in the 2001 A division that year. And it was after some hard work with you and I to get that group to State Wars. You guys lost to Ontario, and then you wound up beating New Jersey 6-0 in the bronze medal game to take home the bronze. And there's a picture from that year in 2015.
Oh, Tapas, you look like a 3-year-old. That is great. I love that picture.
Even you without the beard, and that's I could say.
I know those. I thought I destroyed all those pictures.
That's my goal this lockdown, Greg. I want to have a beard like Nick when this is all over. It might take me 10 years.
I'll give you some pointers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have started that a long time ago, Tim.
It would take me 10 years to get Nick's beard.
Took me
I'd have
about
a
10 minutes.
mustache out to here and maybe little patches around.
This was the beginning of it.
Yeah, that was probably only a couple years ago, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
And in 2018, Nick, that same 2001 team, you guys moved up to AA and actually took home the gold medal in AA. So a big step up from winning a bronze in single A to AA gold. You guys went 2-2 in the round robin in 18, and you had a tough 2-1 overtime win over Northern California in your first playoff game, and then 4-0. Actually, do you remember who scored the game-winning goal? I'm going to test your memory in the 2-1 OT game in 2018 to get you guys to the finals. Do you remember who scored that?
I want to say that was Carter Newland.
Nope. We'll give you one more guess.
Got
two first names.
Two first names.
Unless the scorekeeper just marked it off wrong.
That could very well be. You got me. Who is it?
Spencer Craig.
Oh, it was Spencer. That's right. Yep, you are absolutely right. That was Spencer Craig.
So Spencer with that, and then again a shutout. I'm assuming that was Nathan in goal again. 4-0 win over New Jersey. So in both bronze medal and gold medal game, Nathan came up with a shutout, which is no surprise. He's a pretty great goalie.
Yeah, I mean that Nathan. Not to discount the rest of the team's play, but Nathan. That was kind of the summer where I think me personally, I realized. I always knew Nathan was a good goalie. That summer, throughout that whole summer, kind of I don't want to say he carried that team, but he definitely was the anchor for that team and allowed them to be able to make a couple mistakes and not have it be the end of the world. He was key. He was clutch that whole summer and ever since.
Now, I know it's frustrating for you and for me, with Arizona, just getting people to travel, right? It's hard with schools starting out there. They start early.
Really?
With ice being so big, Narch always has a West Coast final, which is a great tournament. and they could just, a hop, skip, and a jump to get to California and play in that, and they kind of get their fix and then wait till next year. But this 01 group, we've worked hard to get them to State Wars, and I think it's fair to say from your reaction that everyone we finally get there, they're hooked then. Like that 01 team kept coming back. It's just getting them there the first time, and then they love the tournament.
Yep. I think the key to that was, first off, give credit where credit was due. Chris Finisanta, one of the team moms that helped me back then, she and a couple other moms were instrumental. Like, talk about needing some parents to drive it. They drove it to the point of, I'll get your kid there. I'll take your kid. I'll watch your kid the whole time. Well, you can pay me back for the entry fee later. Whatever they had to do to get the team there. So Chris and the rest of those moms, that was huge of them. But yeah, it's to your point, the school's the big issue. Is we're slowly getting into this year-round school calendar over the next, I think it was like a 5-year thing. So every year they start like a couple days earlier in August. So we're now at like, July 30th is when some kids go back to school, and it's you guys are just hitting your middle of your summer vacation, and our kids are going back to school, but they've been out since May 5th.
Right.
So it's just trying to, I think actually if it gets a little further back, it might be easier to get them to something later in the summer, because now they're not missing the first week of school. Right. At least they're there the first day or two.
That's the issue we have with Hawaii. Every year Greg and I talk to Jamie Yoder out in Hawaii, because we used to have a lot of Hawaii teams came to State Wars. It's the same thing. School starts so early. It's always a factor, unfortunately, where we place ourselves in the summer. State Wars, the one thing I've always been proud about, Nick, is we just want to get people there, and then we know they want to come back. We'll take the Pepsi Challenge any day, and that's why our international numbers have grown. It's so hard. You're getting people to believe in you from other country to come out and spend all that time and money to fly. If you think Arizona's a big flight, try coming from Namibia to Africa, 28-hour flight to get there in flights. But once they come back. And, last summer we had 11 different countries come, and most of them become repeat customers because they love the tournament so much. But it's just getting that leap of faith, getting them there. But with you guys, I think the school is the huge part, like you said, and not much we could really do about that. But as far as coaching goes, so obviously the kids to the side, the pro team, your Konixx team, Konixx Pure has always been a big part of you, and it's definitely a passion for you coaching those guys. And the Palma Pro division is obviously a big part of the summer for a lot of players. 2016 was your first summer getting the taste of the division. Had a little bit of a tough run the first summer, going 0-4, but then you guys bounced back with 2 really good years in 17 and 18, went 2-2 both years in the round robin. And just looking at these scores, in 2017, you beat the Mudcats 5-2. And then you lost in the quarterfinals to the Snipers 3-2, which I remember that game being really tough, and you had me worried. And then 2018, you went 2-2 again, beating the Border Cats 6-4. And but then in the playoffs, in the round robin, your losses though to Palma were 3-2, and you lost to the Snipers 4-2. Another great game I remember on Rink 2 in St. Louis. Yep. And then you played a tough Black Ice team in the quarterfinals and lost. And then last year you had some troubles. You were missing some players and whatnot. So I think we'll throw last year out a little bit. But just speak a little bit about, having one of those teams that's not necessarily the upper tier team yet, and how tough that tournament is, and what needs to be done to kind of get over that little bit of a hump. Because you're obviously right there when you're playing teams like the Snipers and the Mudcats and Palmer and what the 1-goal, 2-goal game. So.
Yeah, I think, we've had an interesting road, right? This team is, the core of this pro team was my 92 Outcast guys, and towards the end, the 92 Outcast guys for last year midgets. And then, in the what came after that, those guys kind of started playing pro because why not? We're competitive with guys in our own junior division who are all playing pro. Let's do it. So they jumped into a couple pro tournaments. When you do that, I was talking to the Skittles guys about this at one point. Like, there's no reason not to go do it. If you can be competitive, you only get better by getting beat and learning, what you can and can't do. We did that, and we just kind of took our lumps, and we kind of, hit a little bit of a stride through that time period you're talking about. And we were the young guys, you know, we're mostly 94s, 92s. I think Dwyer's a 93. You know, most of our guys are young in terms of that. As we got into kind of getting a little complacent over, I would say last summer was a little bit of an eye opener of, hey, being the young guys with the chip on your shoulders, how you were able to go into things and be competitive. And now you had a couple good years, you know, to your point, we had close games. I think what we learned last summer was important, which is we've got to have that same mindset we had when we were 2 or 3 years younger. These guys all just entered a point in their life too. I think not that everyone else hasn't done the same thing, but I think the majority of my squad has left that 4 to 5 years of college into new professional lives. And that's, you know, I'm sure mentally that takes a little bit from them. So they get to the hockey tournament and got to get unwinded and get ready. I think they're in a good place though. Like I think that last summer was really kind of a shot in the arm, so to speak. They're itching to play.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you're that close, I talked about this with George Brown the other day. You know, if I'm a coach of a team and I come away and we're losing games 8-0, 7-0, 6-0, you may give up. But when you see those close scores, you start saying to yourself, okay. And I remember in 2018 in Atlanta at Norwich, you know, our sniper team kind of blew through that tournament. But the one game we had that was tough was with you guys. You know, you guys easily could have won that game. And you know, I think it was Brandon Hawkins scored a big goal for us. But other than that, I mean, it was a tie game, and you could have beaten us there. So the 3 times I remember playing you guys in the last couple of years, you could have beaten us any one of those games. And not to say that we're the best team, but we're one of the better teams, I would say. Yeah. And if you're playing right there with us, you know, to me, if I'm you, I'm saying, okay, I know we can do this because we're playing with these teams. It's not like we're just beating the weaker teams. But it's just that consistency part, right? It's got to be frustrating when one day you play the Snipers to a 3-2 game, and then maybe you play Black Ice and it's a 5-0 game, or we have a tough game with a team you think you should beat, like Iska or whatnot, you know, and then it becomes frustrating, that part of that inconsistency. But I think you definitely have the talent there. It's just a matter of, you know, bringing it all together, obviously. And I think to your point, that keeping that hunger of, you know, just wanting to win. Because, you know, I mean, speak about the Palma Pro division. I mean, what makes it so tough, that division, do you think? The games are longer, you know, I mean, just speak about it for a second, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Well, I think one thing, and not to put it on his shoulders, but, you know, the times we have succeeded, Kyle Aldrich has been with us playing. And the couple times we struggled a little bit, I mean, one of the pictures Greg threw up there from a few years ago,
he's in the background.
You got Aldi standing on the bench with me because he was hurt. Yep, there he is off to the corner. Not happy about it, by the way. That face is the face of someone that really, really, really wanted to be playing right then.
We gotta get him a milk sponsor too.
Definitely gonna wrap him in bubble wrap from about April through July from now on. When Kyle's healthy, he is the difference maker. On the rink, in the locker room, he gets everyone's, you know, mindset, and it's not anything I think he even knows he's doing. His presence there helps us, and you know, as frustrated as we are when he gets hurt and he can't play, it's you know, a fraction of the frustration he has he can't be playing. And you know, he knows we know that. So step one is he's got to be healthy and be there for us. And we've got to play a complete game. Those State Wars games are longer. I mean, we everything we're playing all year long is 2/3 the time frame of that. And because we're a West Coast team, we're playing them all on small rinks. So even the bigger rink in Huntington is not a nice size rink. All the rinks in Irvine are not the same size we're going to play on. So those longer games, those bigger rinks, and I think this is not a scapegoat, but the officiating is what it needs to be at that level, and it's not the same officiating. The same things are not called throughout the full year, and this is not at all criticizing. It's that tournament is reffed the same every single game. We have to adjust ourselves to what that level of reffing is like, and I know it's the same in the ice world. You go to a tournament in Pennsylvania, the reffing's a little different than a tournament in Missouri, than a tournament in LA. So part of it for us is putting our tissue box away when we don't get a call we wanted. You know, focusing on what happened after the call we did or didn't get, and not the call itself or the no call itself.
Right.
That's a maturity thing that I think when we have little lapses, that's one of the issues, and that's on us. We've got to be better at that. And I think we know it.
And you guys had a pretty good player last summer from Sweden playing with you guys, Peterson.
Yeah, Zach came out.
Yeah, Zach Peterson. And that just goes to show you, I mean, how tough the division is. I mean, a kid like that who's put up points in every league he's played in, including World Championships, he's always one of the leading scorers. You know, it was pretty tough for him to adjust at State Wars last summer as well.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, we had very high hopes. You know, Zach came to us through Alex McDonald, who had been playing with Zach in Europe for the year. And Zach's a nice guy. I met him when I went out to France. You know, knew who was coming and said, that's a quality dude. That's a dude I hung out with for a couple nights. Like, that's a guy I think would get along with our team. And he did. He's a good guy. But to your point, it's you know, talk about the frustration of a player. Here's a guy that is used to being the guy, and he you know, he gets out to State Wars first game, no goals, and you know, that you could tell he's like, oh, it's an anomaly. You know, I just got to figure this out. And then we're into game 4, no goals.
Yep.
The bigger rink, the faster turnaround, the change in pace. You know, and this is again not a knock on Zach. The defensive responsibility that North American roller hockey makes you play was just, you know, it wasn't from lack of effort on Zach's end at all. It was just how quickly you've got to find your guy and be on your guy. And how quick the puck moves up that bigger surface. I think you give that guy a summer, you know, in North America, and he plays, you know, a dozen pro level games. I think he's dangerous. But for just kind of throwing him into the ocean with the Sharks, you know, not the showing he was hoping for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, if he, you know, sticks with you guys, he could step it up and come next summer, you know, and prove to the world that he's a goal scorer, you know.
Yeah, his stats don't lie. You know, he's scoring goals on smaller goals in you know, on weird surfaces and weird rinks, but he's not doing it with you know, with the first and second D lines of North American pro teams out there as well.
Yep, for sure.
And crafty forwards for sure.
You know, I think, Nick, too, I think with the Palmer Pro, what makes things so tough, too, is we talked about the longer games, you know, playing 2 18-minute halves. You know, you need to be 3 lines deep in the tournament, you know, and maybe in other tournaments you might get away with just being 2 lines deep. But when you got to throw a third line out there consistently, you know, there are some teams that maybe are deeper that way. And that's where the trouble starts setting in sometimes, is when you got to roll 3. And if your third lines can't keep up with other teams' third lines, you know, it becomes a problem, you know, and that longer game, it wears games down a little bit. And I think that becomes, you know, part of the factor too, which is just more of a learning curve of that division a little bit. And then you add in the fact that because there are no off games in the round robin, you know, you fall asleep for one game. And it happened to us in 2015. We almost didn't make the playoffs because you fall asleep for a game and almost you're out now. For every game, you got to be ready to play. And George Brown talked about that. You know, they beat Palmer, they beat Alkali the one game. And then next game, they had to play Palmer. And they're like, and then they lost, and then they're back to square one again, you know, and it's like, you don't get that reprieve, you know, where you're used to maybe saying, all right, I can circle a couple teams on a schedule. I know we're going to win that game. I know we got to win this one. In the Palmer Pro, it's almost like every game is that unknown, which is what makes it so much fun and makes it great for the fans and whatnot, is, you know, they could come down to game 2 of the tournament and know it's probably going to be a really good game.
It's definitely the depth of the roster. It's also, that longer game, to your point. I think back to our elimination game against Black Ice a couple of years ago. T game, the Border Cats game, I think was right before that. So Jay and I were standing there watching that game, talking before our game started, because we were all ready to go but couldn't go out. And Jay kind of looked at me and went, "Yeah, you know, this the first one to make mistakes, probably going to lose this one, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably." You know, that was a tight game until we made an error and they got a goal off of it. And, you know, as will happen when you play those guys, like if they don't want you to have the puck, you're not going to get the puck. and we did not get the puck. And when we did, we made very frantic decisions with it and gave them the puck back and put ourselves in a bad spot again. So some of it's matchups for sure.
It's amazing how different the game plays when you play with the lead or without the lead, right? Changes everything, or a tie game. When you fall behind to a tough team, it definitely feels like you're getting strangled a little bit, and your team, I think to your point, like when we played you in Atlanta and at State Wars, the games were close. So they're tie games and you guys are just basically saying the hell with these guys. We can play with these guys, and it's back and forth, where maybe if you would have fallen behind by a goal or two, then the guys deflate a little bit. But at a tie score, you guys are really tough to play against for sure. And definitely a team, I've been saying for a couple of years, I see you guys as a playoff team for sure. It's just a matter of, coming together and, like you said, being healthy and everyone just adjusting properly.
Tim, we've got one thing I think that is a little, I don't want to say it's a hill to climb, but we are basically, a team with a lot of role players. And, we don't have a Matt White. We don't have Spezia. We don't have a guy that realistically is going to go out and bury for us every single time, they get a good look on net. It's a good look on net. We get a lot of looks on net that we make bad decisions on sometimes and things like that. And we've got to play together. We've got to actually realize that no one guy out there is going to go win a game for us. So we've got to be able to do it together. When we do that, we're successful. And there's guys on the team that, Tanner too, he's one that comes to mind. Like Tanner is there every single game. Like that's a guy that knows his role, gets out there, does his job, draws a penalty by just getting drilled because he whacked a guy behind the play to 3 seconds earlier that didn't get called. So that guy cleans him out. He comes to the bench with his helmet on backwards and goes, all right, I got you your power play, go. We've got guys that, that'll put us in that position. Then we've got to be able to step up and then go bury that power play goal. And those are things that sometimes, we just get opportunities and don't capitalize on them. And I think that haunts these guys the minute those games are over. And I think we get better from those things. I think that's the biggest frustration with this whole lockdown we're in right now and the questionable summer tournaments is these guys have spent the last 9 months mentally preparing themselves. We had a long talk in the locker room after that ISCA game about, what kind of shape you're going to be in come April of next year, both mentally and physically, and what you're going to do to change what happens next summer for us, especially, wanting to make sure that we're competitive at Narch and that we're able to come back to Palma again without having to, roll the dice for a spot after this year. Like we've got some things we've got to go prove this year, and they were ready. Guys were ready. So I know they're chomping. They want to go play.
Hopefully we'll have you at Taylor Sportsplex, God willing. Now let's talk about, we haven't really touched on this with any of our guests. Let's talk a little bit about the branding side of a pro team. So obviously there's reasons why you do this, right? I mean, you're the Konixx brand manager. Konixx is the wheel sponsor. And, we've talked about in years past about how important, is it about winning for the brand, or is it just about, making that splash, having people watch you, look at the players, have guys that represent you well, guys that you're proud to have on your team, and just the branding side of it? Because I remember hearing and some of your youth players from around the country at State Wars last year. It's great seeing them in the different Michigan and Missouri jerseys. But I remember back in 2009 being at Narch in Cincinnati, and every year Mission had a bomb squad of a pro team, and they never won really. I think they won like once. And in 2009, it was the year of the tuxedo jerseys.
Yep, I remember that.
Everyone remembers the tuxedo jerseys. And I remember talking to one of the guys from Mission, I forgot who it was, and they talked about, hey, nobody remembers who wins. But they're going to remember these tuxedo jerseys.
Remember the tuxedo jerseys.
And here we are in 2009. I don't remember who won that tournament in pro, but I remember the tuxedo jerseys, So to that point, it made sense. And I remember Chad Siebel telling me one time that Walt Frazier used to say with Tour, the players don't want to hear this, but all I care about is getting to the championship game. We get to the championship game, we're going to get a lot of people watching us, talking about us, whatever. And whatever happens, happens. Of course, I want to win, but it's about just getting somewhere so more games the fans can watch us and see Tour. So for you guys, what does that branding part mean for that pro team? And is it really all about winning, or is it about these other things?
It's definitely from a brand perspective, it's about having representation there. That's something that to bring back to that talk in the locker room at the end of State Wars last year. That was part of what we talked about. I said this is where Konixx is a small company. The hockey industry, roller hockey specifically, none of us are driving fancy cars and flying around in private jets. We're all working our butts off over here, and budgets aren't what they were in the early 2000s. My guys cover their own travel for most things we're doing. Palma Pro, I help them with a hotel room. We do what we can to help the guys get there and do those things. But this is on their own, some of this. So, they're there representing me on their own dime. And I'm there doing what I can for them. So that was a discussion we had, is you guys are here representing this brand. When we have a bad showing, am I going to sell one less wheel because we went 0-4? Probably not. We go 0-4 multiple years and we become the joke of the division. Yeah, that hurts your brand. It absolutely hurts your brand.
When I think of you guys, I remember, Greg, I don't know if you remember this. I remember those NBA style, like Suns type jerseys you guys did.
Yep.
That's, to me, that's something that stands out. I think of Konixx, I think of that, And I think for a lot of the young kids, it's just about thinking something's cool, and then they want to try it, or they want to be on those wheels and do whatever. And that's one thing, GT, that Nick's done a phenomenal job, I think, over the last few years, is getting Konixx from nothing to where they're at now, which has been incredible, seeing that growth. And honestly, I applaud you, Nick, because
Thanks.
You do a great job, and you're at the events, you're there at the booth, and we joke around about who's serious about their job and whatnot. But you're always there, you're present, you're personal with the people, you're doing the right thing by them. And I got to be honest, I'm real impressed by it. And I see a lot of kids and people talking. We had someone shout out during our podcast here from, I think my mom from Missouri said, Konixx has gotten my money during quarantine. I see a lot of people talking about Konixx wheels, which is, pretty impressive.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, number one, it's easy to go out and do this when it's a good product. Job gets a lot harder if you're out there, selling window cleaner. It's a lot easier to sell something people like. It's a lot easier to tell somebody this is going to be good, you're going to like it, and then have them be able to go out and actually like it and know it was good. So the product is part of that. But yeah, it's definitely been a grind, but it's one I enjoy. I like to work. This has been the hardest part of all this, is I don't have a lot to do. Like I'm not used to not having anything to do. So having a brand, going out there doing it, I love talking to people. I'll sit, Cook was giving me crap, not giving me crap, but kind of giving me a hard time. He's like, you're just selling these people wheels. You're not selling them aluminum siding. You don't have to go through the whole tech with every customer. I'm like, but I'm sitting here for 10 hours today, might as well. So I like talking about our product. I like telling people what they're buying. I like being honest with people. I had a mom question my motives when I told her she didn't need to buy her kid new wheels. She's like, what's your angle? Like, no angle, your kid's wheels are fine. He just had a bad game. I watched it. It was on the rink in front of me. So that's coming from a sales end, coming from working in retail for years. One thing I learned is, if you're honest with people, you will get their business again. If you treat people how you want to be treated when you go somewhere, you'll get their business. That's my mindset.
Yeah, picture here from this past summer. I know Joe. I think Joe Cook was originally supposed to coach, or Rob Morgan. I think Rob Morgan was supposed to coach, and then I think he asked you to coach. How'd that work out?
So this was this is a good story. I'm sitting on, I think we are in Irvine, the end of Narch West, and Cook calls me like 3 times in the middle of a game. I'm like, what is he, why is he bugging me at 5 p.m? I think he might've been, I might've seen him earlier that day or something. If I get a hold of him later, he's like, hey, we're going to coach Ontario team at State Wars. Morgan can't go, needs me to do it. I told him you're going to help me with it. All right, I guess I'm doing that. Going to be there 12 days, might as well. Morning of that first game rolls around, and and I knew it was coming. I think, Greg, you reminded me a couple times. Like, don't forget, you're coaching that team. Yeah. I think did I make the meeting for that? I don't remember if I think I might have.
Yeah,
that
we
might,
might-
that might have been the one team meeting I've made in all the years. So that morning game, like their first game's a morning one, and I kind of pop awake and I'm thinking, all right, got to get there, got to coach, and get in the car and text Joe, hey, are you already at the rink? Do you know what locker room we're in? And he texts me later. He's like, oh, you're gonna do this one. So I walk in the locker room. I think we sent the guys, all the parents and the guys, an email ahead of time, kind of introducing ourselves, whatever. So I at least walked in the locker room. They knew who the heck I was and why I was there. That was an interesting experience. I'd coached teams against some of those guys, but I don't think I've ever played against that team.
Mhm.
If I remember right. If I did, it was probably a short game. So I kind of, I got to know those guys as I was coaching them, and that was a great experience. I mean, it was getting to know those guys, still talking to them today. It was a good networking thing for me, but it gave me a really good chance to, get to know some guys from an area I wouldn't have gotten to know. It was a cool experience. And, seeing them kind of go up against realistically, my buddies from Nitrous that Konixx works really closely with, those guys aren't just a team we sponsor. Those are, Rick's my buddy, that team, those guys, Guzman's, my guy, Jay's my guy. Like those are guys that a year later, like I would have been sitting in the stands, no offense, Ontario guys, I probably would have been sitting in the stands rooting for them just because, my ties to them. So having to coach against them and really want these Ontario guys who I've now spent 4 or 5 games with and, gotten to know and really gotten to like, that was a hard, that was like one where, they lost. I was kind of happy for the NorCal guys, but sad for them. If we would have won, it would have been vice versa. It was a good experience. I love doing things like that. It's fun to kind of see things from a different angle.
It's a good group right there too. So I mean, they weren't any slouches. They were good players. So that always helps.
No, it was. I think the bet, like by that last game, I was kind of comfortable enough to give a little bit of like subtle passive aggressive chirps when guys weren't doing things, because at the end of the day, they didn't need someone to micromanage them. They needed an adult on the bench. They needed someone to pull a couple guys off the rink that maybe don't want to come off the rink sometimes. And other than that, they wanted to go out and do their own thing. So it was a good fit. I was kind of not knowing them. That was about what I was able to do for them.
Now, did Joe ever show up to a game?
No, I think I'm going to go with he didn't want to jinx it because they were winning.
There we go.
We're going to give him that out.
We'll leave it at that.
Well, it just shows you how much Nick loves coaching. He was able to jump on a bench with kids he doesn't even know and take them to a medal. So that's pretty awesome stuff.
I'm going to give them 97% of the credit for that.
Well, and if you would have lost, it'd be 97% on your fault. So it works.
Yeah,
both
absolutely.
ways, speaking of coaching, also, I mean, you've had the luxury also of coaching college roller hockey with the NCRHA for Arizona State. So I know 2019-20 season that unfortunately, we haven't had playoffs or whatnot in a national championship, but Division IV and Division I, you guys won the WCRHL division and 15-1 records in both. And I know ASU in 2017-18 was Division I champs out there. So pretty impressive stuff. Do you enjoy coaching the college as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is the college thing has been probably one of the better experiences for me in coaching, just because it's such a different thing. Coaching pro, coaching youth, whether it be A or AAA, you control who your team is. You control who's going to be on that team. Right. You have all those things. You can build a team around it. You have a bad goalie show up to tryouts. You go out and find a better goalie somewhere. College roller hockey, I've said this, and every time I get talked to about it, you deal with what's in front of you. I think one of the things a lot of college kids or a lot of kids going into college think for roller is, if I'm good, a school's gonna, like NCAA ice hockey, they're gonna come to me and get me to their school. And there are a couple schools that do that. ASU has, over 100,000 students between all their campuses. They're not giving away free school for a roller hockey player or much else for that matter.
Did that goalie ever wind up playing with you guys when I gave you that contact that time? Did he ever wind up playing?
Yeah, so Greg, you pulled up the D4 picture a second ago. That was the goalie for the Western Collegiate Roller Hockey last year's, this season's D4. keep going, keep going. There it is. Goalie right there, right goalie in that picture. That's Weston Walker. That was we had to cyber stalk him to get him onto our team. We had to. I think I messaged Zach Zena in Texas. So the story is we have tryouts, and we really don't have much to do a D4 team with. It's kind of a weird year for us. We had a lot of really high-end players come in, and our D1 team got a lot better, or a lot more balanced. And our D4 numbers, we had a bunch of seniors that D4 is a weird division. Let me start out by saying this, like in our region, the ASU D4 team will win games by 20 goals. They're not competitive games, but that's the division you're in. And then we get to nationals and we have to play Farmingdale, we have to play Lindenwood, we have to play Bethel, we have to play these teams that have been playing the D1 teams from back there as warmups. And we've been winning games 20-0, playing terrible. So getting into how to get a D4 team to really want to play the whole season keeps getting tougher for us. So we lost a lot of guys. We had a couple. We wanted to put a team together. We had no goalies. Paquette, one of our guys from Northern California, freshman, really wanted to play. He plays State Wars, Anthony does.
Yep. Anthony, right?
Yep. He and I was driving him back to campus, and we were talking about how we're going to do this after tryouts. We don't have a goalie, and he texts me the next day. He goes, "Hey, I randomly saw this kid. This kid saw me waiting outside for you last night, and saw my shirt. He was probably wearing a Mission shirt or something, and said, 'Oh, you play roller hockey.' They got to talking. Kid told him he was a goalie, and Paquette, knowing we needed a goalie, went, 'Okay, cool,' and the kid walked away. And then he goes, 'Oh yeah, that guy was a goalie. I probably should have talked to him.' So yeah, I went to you, Tim, and I said, 'Hey, this is what I know about this kid. He's this age. He's from Texas,' and he put in the conversation he played State Wars at some point. I think you helped me track him down. Zach Zena in Texas helped me track him down. We got a goalie out of it.
That's what we do at State Wars. We just make connections, for people all around the world.
Appreciate it.
That's what we do. So before we let you go, Nick, I want to ask you a couple of questions,
Sure.
and just get some answers from you, so people at home can hear some of your thoughts on other things. So first, as all the players you've ever coached in forever, if you had $1 million game and you could put one goalie, two forwards, 2D on the floor, and it's every player in their prime, who would you put out there to win that $1 million game for you?
Man, I'm going to go with guys I coached long-term and not dudes that jumped on my bench for a game. Cause if I do that, I can put together a pretty strong team. That wouldn't be fair. My goaltender is definitely going to be Kevin Dwyer, 100%. And I'm going to go with in their prime. I'm going to go definitely with Alex McDonald, who I don't even think has gotten there yet. Definitely going to go with Kyle Aldrich. And wow, what's that?
Long Dong.
Oh man, Long might be a really good one for that too.
It's tough to say because he's never played up in the pro level. He kind of.
He was one of my favorite all-time Arizona players back in the day.
Man, I am telling you, had that kid not had a back issue, I would have loved to have seen what that would have been like.
Yeah.
All right. I
remember coaching against you at Narch, and he played with us.
Yeah.
Play you guys, and remember Greg, how intense he was in the locker room with his headphones on, and he was trying to tell us all about every player on the team, and I was basically like, Long, just shut up and just play hockey, and we'll worry about everything else, But he was a pretty good player, a great passer.
That was a huge roster you threw him onto. I remember him being so stressed out about all the playing time he was getting, and he's like, these guys all hate me. I know they all hate me. I took their playing time. Like, buddy, they're cheering you on from the bench. I can see them. I think they like you. I don't. God, that's a tough question, man. I don't know who to throw in for my last two forwards. I'm the kind of person who wants to think about that for a day.
All right, you can think about it. So when you watch the Palma Pro division, and there's obviously so much talent in that division, who's a player you look at and say, if I could take any player in this whole division, I want him on my team, who would that player be in the whole division?
Again, a tough one. I probably, if I'm taking that player and dropping him onto my team, I definitely find a defenseman out there for sure. But I'd take the easy out on that. I'd take Tino in that every day.
Okay. Who's the best locker room guy you ever coached?
Oh man. There's some characters. You know what? I probably I still probably go back to Tanner Toohey. Not that he's a spectacle in the locker room, but he's got an energy to him. You know, I can tell guys take a cue from him.
Are you more of a caller or a texter?
Oh, 100% texter. I dread phone calls.
Coffee, tea,
Coffee, like a lot.
winter or summer?
I live in Arizona, man. Winter, because my winter is your summer, and I love my
right.
winters here.
California or Arizona?
California.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Miracle or Youngblood?
Oh, Miracle all day long. I mean, I love a good tearjerker.
Now, when you fly on a plane, do you recline your seat or there's no recline?
Man, that is a timely question. You know what? I'm too much of empathetic to other people. I just suffer through it and don't recline my seat.
Yeah, especially nowadays, it seems like it's a topic of conversation. Before, when people were actually still flying, a lot of people were talking about that. Brian, that works for us, used to give Greg and I shit about it. So then every time we get on a plane now, I got to think about, like, should I recline right now? Who's behind me? What's going on? Has my whole head in a pretzel now.
It all depends on who's behind me and how I'm feeling. And if I'm tired, then I just usually pass out, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it all depends for me.
Greg falls asleep, Nick, within 3 seconds of he's the guy, because I can't fall asleep for anything on a plane. So he's the guy you want to punch square in the mouth right when you take off, because it hasn't even taken off yet, and he's sleeping already. You know, so it drives me crazy because I can't sleep for anything on a plane. The last one for you here, pizza wise, deep dish or New York style?
Ooh, probably. I've lived on the West Coast my whole life, so our pizza is pales in compare. But I'll go, if it's West Coast pizza, I'll go deep dish because I just don't think they know how to make New York style here.
Okay,
It's all in
awesome.
the water.
What's that?
It's all in the water, they say.
That must be.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. You know, we really appreciate you taking the time with us today. You know,
Yeah,
people
thanks for having me.
make sure you check out Konixx wheels. I know they're Pure X wheels, their new top of the line wheel, and obviously, like he's been talking about, is a Rocket that outdoor wheel? Is that the wheel you guys been blowing out?
Yeah, the Rocket 2X, which has been for the company I work for, been a product for them for like a decade. When I worked at Behind the Mask, it was our go-to wheel, so it was an easy one to bring into the Konixx brand. Yeah, and we're, like I said, we sold through a good amount of stock in a very short time. So we'll,
awesome.
hopefully in the next week or two here, we're stocked back up and shipping wheels again.
That'd be
Nick,
awesome.
I got one more question before we leave here.
Yeah, go for it.
What's your favorite division to coach? You know, the kids, the youth, or like your pro guys?
To me, it's more about the mindset of the guys I'm coaching. I'll coach a 12 and under silver team if those kids are focused and there for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'll coach a pro team if they're focused and there for the right reasons. I think like 16 and under is probably one of those age groups where you're doing the most as a coach to kind of take really good talent and actually make it do the right things. So that would be, if it was an age group, it would be that.
I like that. It's a good answer.
All right, Nick, will you stay safe out there, stay in the air conditioning,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see a Taylor Sportsplex this summer. I expect to see like a ZZ Top beard from you this summer.
I had a haircut appointment for tomorrow, hair and beard cut. And when our governor gave us another 15 days yesterday, I think that's the most frustrated I've been in a long time. But yeah, it won't be, Tim. Unfortunately, it'll look a lot like that one where you go, oh, that must have been early beard.
All right, well, keep up the great work. It's Nick Boyarsky, Konixx Wheels, doing a great job out in the West Coast, and we look forward to seeing you this summer. And just stay well out there, buddy.
Yeah, you guys too. Take care, and we're all gonna see each other this summer. Keep that positive thought going. We're gonna do it.
100%. Drinking lemonade today here. All right, buddy. We'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Take care, Nick.
All right, that was Nick Boyarsky from Konixx Wheels there. He's done an incredible job with the brand. All of our wheel sponsors, Rinkrat, Lebeda, and Konixx, they've all done so many amazing things. But what's so impressive with Nick is, he came in late in the game and went from a a brand that was not a brand, and then suddenly it's known everywhere. So props to him because he is the face of the company. So he's done a great job there. And obviously, Rob Ferrara, our buddy from St. Louis, our state director, just a great guy. He's done a great job out there. And of course, we started out, it seems like hours ago, Tyler Spezia, one of the best players ever laced him up in Michigan. Good friend of ours from out there doing his thing. And we wish him luck if his ice season does start up again in Grand Rapids or in Toledo, wherever he's going to be, that he does well with that. And I look forward to seeing all these guys at the Taylor Sportsplex this summer at State Wars.
Yeah, 3 good guys. Like you said, Nick started out in the game pretty late, with Konixx, but nowadays I see so many kids, adults, skating on those white Konixx wheels. I hope to see more on the new wheel, on the Pure X's. So obviously we haven't really been to the rinks lately, so I'm sure more and more guys will be skating on those wheels as well. But yeah, overall, good episode. Had some laughs, some great guys, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I can't believe it's the last day of April right here. This month's flown by. Even being stuck home, it still is going by fast.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Still working out who some of our guests are going to be next week. I know at some point next week we're going to have John Seamer from the Palma Golden Knights out in California, who's doing some pretty cool stuff with Cali roller hockey and some other stuff. We'll talk to him. I know Chris Treff, like we mentioned, Trefty, one of our play-by-play guy from State Wars, Fort Wayne, pro hockey player, if you would. He'll be with us, so we're going to talk to him a little bit, and we're going to finalize the rest of our guests. But keep it going here. Looking forward to some good podcasts, and just want everyone to have a happy and healthy weekend, and everybody stay safe.
Yeah, awesome. Looking forward to next week, Tim, and we'll see you guys soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavalla, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors: Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Konixx, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.
Take care, guys. See you next week. Take care, JT.
See you, Tim.